Welcome back to the best division in football with your boys Awthentik and The Beard. The best television show not on television, man. Appreciate y'all pulling up, tuning in, man. It's been an interesting week in the NFC East. Me and your boy, The Beard, the best co-host in the country's teams are now officially eliminated. Those predictions we had at the beginning of the year definitely did not come to fruition. Just got off air with the homie Tim from Online Big Blue, man. Big shout out to Online Big Blue for sharing their platform with me today. Got to chop it up with him for about a good 45 minutes to an hour about the state of the New York Giants, man. We got a lot to talk about, man. That press conference from Joe Judge was ridiculous. I cannot wait to get to that New York Giants game breakdown. For those of y'all that tuned in on Monday and saw the Giant overreaction yesterday, man, it was a very interesting one. We went for about a good 3 hours talking about the state of the New York Giants. So if you missed that, make sure to go back, check that one out. I believe the link is in the description for that one. We also had Antonio Brown taking off. I mean, it's like he was playing a game of strip poker or something, man. Took off his whole uniform, balled up his gloves. He was throwing everything in the crowd, man. I wanted to wait to see what the news was about him and how things were faring on the sidelines for the Bucs, man. But I know that they're going to need some wide receiver help moving forward. We got a lot to talk about, man. 3 games in the NFC East. The Cowboys took on the Cardinals. That was a really good game at home for them. Washington versus the Philadelphia Eagles. And our New York Giants traveled to go see the Chicago Bears for a game that was with all draft stakes on the line, man. And the Chicago Bears definitely took care of us in the draft bowl versus my New York Giants. So without further ado, let me bring in the strong side, very strong now, very healthy, back from COVID, off the COVID reserve list. My co-host, the best co-host in the country, your boy, The Beard, left side.
Strong side.
What's good, bro?
I'm about 85%, man.
We about 85%. Are you
85.
hurt or are you injured?
Yeah, exactly. I'm hurt. I'm not injured. I'm hurt. That's been, just trying to catch back up. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's a lot. You know, when you know how it is, man. When you do things by yourself, man, and you miss a day, it feels like a week. So when you miss a week, it feels like you're like a year behind, on your work. So it's just a matter of me catching up. You know what I'm saying? And then obviously the big bombshell dropped this morning about the Washington football team name being officially announced on 2/2/22.
Yeah, they playing with y'all for real. They probably already had the name in the bag for like a year.
Do, of course.
And they're just like, hey, we picked the name. Took us 3 whole days. I don't think that's the facts, but it's good to see you back to at least 85%, man. I know exactly how that goes, man. When you resting and you sick, the rest feels really good. You get that little bit of time off, but then when you get back, you got to double up. That's the problem, and you got to get back to all that work that you missed on them couple of days that you was off, man. So I know it's been a stressful couple of days for you, man, but how was your football weekend, man? Did you get to enjoy some good football?
I did get to enjoy some good football. So, unfortunately, Awthentik and The Beard did not win the championship in our co-team.
We definitely did lose that, like we losing
got
you
close
right now as far as connection goes. We got close. We did get kind of close, and we was down by like 50, I want to say 60 entering that night game, and DeVante Adams ended up putting up some pretty big numbers, man, and keeping things close with we were going up against Dalvin Cook, man, who didn't have a really good day and gave us a chance, man. But yeah, we couldn't get that Jamar Chase like kind of stat box to put us in the victory column.
But I did win a championship.
I did see that. Yeah, you what league did you win again?
I won the Mike Swan League.
Oh, that's what's up, man. I know they bitter.
I beat Mark in the championship.
Big shout out to the homie Ben Ball, you too, man. It's his birthday today. Big supporter of the podcast, and he was normally the commissioner of that league until that kind of fell beneath the waist, and that league kind of fell apart. That's why I didn't enter that league this year. But big happy birthday to the homie Ben Ball, you for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the thing that was crazy is I was like for dead. Like I was down to like a 11% win percentage chance.
Yeah.
And Debo, Trey Lance was my quarterback because I had Lamar Jackson like all my other championship teams. And then I was like Huntley was gone, and that Mark, who I was playing in the championship, picked up Huntley to put him on his bench. So I picked up Trey Lance, and Trey Lance threw like a 50-yard touchdown pass to Debo Samuel and literally brought me back to life, gave me the lead. And so I was going into last night's game. I was up by like, I think it was 36 or something like that, and he had Dalvin Cook and Deontay Johnson. Dalvin Cook did nothing, and Deontay Johnson, he needed 26 from Deontay Johnson to beat me, and he didn't get it. He got like 13 from Deontay Johnson, and I ended up winning, all because of the Trey Lance to Deebo Samuel touchdown pass. Crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy.
when we went with Huntley at quarterback, there was something in my gut that was telling me that wasn't going to be a good move. I know a lot of people were hype about Huntley's play, before I think he got hit with the COVID bug, and then they brought in Josh Johnson. He had that big game before that. And I don't know, man. Huntley, he's seen time, on the field before and never really wowed me. I mean, I think he does a good job of being a very, very serviceable backup in the NFL. But we were, our options at quarterback were just very limited, and it would have been nice to get a big game at the quarterback position. I think that really held us back in the championship.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, to second place is nothing to laugh at because we won some money. A, B,
Facts.
we started out 1-5, I think it was.
In that league.
So, yeah.
I got to go back and double check because I think we were 0-3 in that league, and then ended up getting a couple. Went on that little streak. It was like 6 in a row or something like that.
Yeah, so it was tough, and I mean it was a great squad. Obviously, we got killed with injuries and COVID like everybody else. DeAndre Swift going down really hurt us because Swift and Jonathan Taylor together were like absolutely dominant for us. And then Lamar Jackson was, Lamar Jackson. So like we were, and then DeVante Adams, CeeDee Lamb. I mean that squad was stacked. So like when it was on, it was like we were literally blowing the socks off of people. And then just at the end, it just came down to a couple of people being out. I mean, we had to go with either Chase Edmonds or DeAndre Swift, and Edmonds ended up being the right call, even though he didn't necessarily have a huge game. He did perform better than DeAndre Swift. But, CeeDee Lamb, which obviously we're going to talk about here shortly, he didn't have, like, the biggest game, obviously, and so, like, that hurt us. But we didn't have any monster games except for DeVante Adams, really. Everybody else was just kind of average. We even made a last-minute change at kicker, which ended up being pretty good. We got 10 points out of our kicker, which we had Gano, who would have only gotten us the one field goal. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, and I knew that wasn't going to be the right move. The Giants have just been struggling to get into the red zone, period. And, just getting good field position on the other side of the field. I mean, we haven't even had a lot of opportunities to kick field goals that much. So I kind of figured that would happen. Oh, man, big shout-out to Maria and Jaleesa, back-to-back in the comment section. Good to see y'all here in the building. Happy New Year to both of y'all. But, yeah, man, the Giants, man, they're just, offensively, man, it screams that something is wrong with the philosophy and with the game plans that they're entering these games with. It's just I really wish I could have seen Freddie Kitchens with Daniel Jones. I think I would have been able to gauge what's going on with this offense a little bit more. But I'm starting to lean more on that this has to do a lot with the philosophy and what's going on with the game plan. You see Freddie Kitchens trying to just have these quarterbacks drop back and pass when they are passing, which failed us miserably in the last couple of weeks. So in this game, he kind of tried to do his best impersonation of Jason Garrett against the Raiders and just said, screw it, we're just going to run the ball every down. And, the Giants ran the ball over 40 times in this game. Was a good game from Saquon Barkley, but, that offense has just been poo. So I think that was a good move for us to, make a move on the kicker. It would have been nice to get some other big games. Darnell Mooney had a pretty big game, too, for that fantasy squad as well. But we just didn't get those couple of big games to really push us over the top to get that championship trophy.
Yeah, I mean, but there was a lot of exciting games. I mean, that Kansas City Chiefs and Cincinnati Bengals game.
That was a great game.
Jamar Chase. I mean, on that third down, it was like third and like 17 or third and 24. They put single coverage on Jamar Chase, and they just absolutely burned him for the first down. Like on the sideline.
My questions for Jamar Chase coming into the league was the breakaway speed. It was one of the reasons why I like Jalen Waddle so much more than I like Jamar Chase coming into this draft, was because I felt like Waddle had that ability, like that Odell Beckham kind of ability, where you could catch a slant and take it to the house. And Jamar Chase, on that touchdown, that first touchdown that he got in that game, where he caught that pass across the middle, he really showed you there. He got them game time burners for sure, man. He's going to be a receiver to be messed with for a couple of years here, man. I'm definitely feeling what they're building over there with the Cincinnati Bengals. And as a Giants fan, it's very bittersweet watching them rebuild that team, because they've really done that in just about 2 years here. They did draft offensive line right before Burrow got there, but it wasn't a top 10 pick. it was outside of the top 10. I want to say it was 11 or 12. And then you go with the quarterback, you go with the wide receiver who the quarterback played with in college, and it just seems to be working out for them. You got those 3 guys over there under 25 years old, all over 1,000. You got Higgins over there. You got Boyd over there. I mean, they really got a great core set up. And going into this draft, I think it's obvious that they just need to upgrade the offensive line. And they'll be able to make I won't even say a solidified run, because they might be able to make that this year. You know, all pending on the matchups they get here in the playoffs, they might be able to make the run. But I think they can start to build a dynasty type of team over there that you'll see in the playoffs for some years to come.
The crazy thing is they have a chance to be the number 1 seed in the AFC.
Yeah.
This week. Which, I mean, like, if you would have sat back and said that the Cincinnati Bengals, I mean, everybody who watches Awthentik and the Beard knows I think the Bengals are really good. But, like, I mean, who would have thought they would have the chance to be the number 1 seed is absolutely insane. I mean,
yeah, right now the Titans hold the number 1 seed, right?
Kansas City. Yeah, Tennessee is the number 1 seed right now. But I think if they lose, I mean, it's so, like, you know, tight over there in the AFC up at the top. Who you got? New England is up there. Kansas City, Buffalo.
Yep, Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati. New England is now a wild card in the 5th seed. And in the hunt right now, you got the Colts and the Chargers. The Chargers and the Raiders are going to be playing for a shot to pretty much get in. That should be the last game.
Winning gets in, right? Winning gets
they
in.
even said a tie would get both teams in. I might have to make a call to the coach and be like, yo, bro, look, we're just going to kneel this thing out.
That would be crazy.
It's never came down to a situation like that before. I did think that the Titans locked up the number 1 seed, but you might be right on that the Bengals have a shot to get the number 1 seed there. And the Ravens got a long shot to still make the playoffs, too. They're the last team in the AFC in the hunt. And the Saints as well in the NFC are one of the last teams that are on the bubble trying to get in as well. Philadelphia Eagles, congratulations to y'all. Y'all got that playoff berth locked in here, and y'all are the 7th seed right now. So we'll see how things pan out. But we got 2 teams from the NFC East. Who would have thought that if 2 teams from the NFC East were going to the playoffs, that both of our teams would not be in? That's kind of crazy. I didn't think that the Philadelphia Eagles were going to be in the mix. And just to remind y'all about how that went down in the beginning of the season, let's just show y'all our predictions that we had before week 1. This is where we was at. And you was hanging your hat on that 10-7 just up to about 3 weeks ago. You like, we're going to win out. I was like, bruh, I'm telling you, that 10-7 not working out. That 9-8 for my Giants, we haven't even gotten halfway to that mark yet. Things is looking real bad here. I think we were kind of close on the Cowboys. Outside, well, maybe I'm kind of right on the Washington football team here. How many y'all got? Y'all are 6-10, right?
Yeah, that's the only one.
Let's go, man.
That's the only one that could still be right.
That's the only one that could still be right. Because, the Giants aren't getting to no 9 wins on my side, and they're not getting the 7 wins on your side. Cowboys have breached the 9 wins already over there on your side, and I had them at 8 wins. I don't know why. I tried to downplay the Cowboys at the beginning of the year, but I should have known with Dak Prescott coming back. They won 6 games last year without Dak Prescott, and they've made significant upgrades on the defensive side of the ball. So I really should have known. Hindsight being 2020 is there's no more truth than there is to that. That's just what it is.
I mean, their defense is just, it's improved so much. You know,
and then the offense was the number 1 offense going into last week.
Yeah.
You know, the Cowboys are a complete team, which is like when you don't see them on all cylinders. I think it's easy for people who aren't high on the Cowboys to be like, oh, well, that's the team that even Cowboys fans. I've been talking to some fans this week, and they're like, my brother included, he was just like, yeah, they're going to let us down in the playoffs. You know, they're kind of expecting it because the last couple of games you haven't seen the Cowboys clicking on all cylinders. I think they're a really good team. Just got to iron out all the BS before you get into the playoffs here. I was telling my brother this yesterday, that maybe that loss to the Cardinals is a good thing going into the playoffs here. If you want to rest your starters going into this next game, even though I do think that seeding implications are on the line here, you know, maybe you do that. Or you go out there, you play a good game, try to build some momentum going into the playoffs. I think the Cowboys and the Eagles, both teams represent the NFC East. I told this to Tanner on his chat the other day, too. A lot of them, they're not rooting for either team in the NFC East to win games. That'll really make them feel some type of way. For me, I'm rooting for both teams in the NFC East. I think it'd be really cool to see a matchup in the second round between the Eagles and the Cowboys possibly, or later, who knows. But for me, I'm going to be rooting for them just like I was rooting for the Eagles in the 2017 Super Bowl when we were down in Miami for Serge's bachelor party. I was down there with Kamani. I felt like we won when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, and that's how much I don't like the Patriots and Tom Brady, is when they took care of business against the Patriots, I was a pretty happy person about that. I'd rather see somebody from our division win the Super Bowl than Tom Brady get another one.
I mean, listen, I'll give you the Eagles, but you ain't gonna find me rooting for no Dallas Cowboys.
Oh yeah, I know that. We talked about this. I hope Monique is in the chat. You on your vibes of the Cowboys are terrible in December, and then come to find out they're fantastic in December. Washington football team fans, they got that rivalry here because there's so many Cowboys fans in DC. They outnumber y'all. That y'all got that rivalry where it's almost a hate relationship. There is no love there.
No love. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys got a lot of questions. There's a lot of question marks right now.
Yeah. I mean, in comparison to what we're dealing with in Washington and New York, I would love to take the amount of questions that the Dallas Cowboys are trying to answer right now. You best believe that.
We're like generational question marks,
Hey, speak for yourself. Speak for yourself. Okay.
I'll tell you what, man. The more and more I'm into the Giants community, I get a lot of Washington vibes, man. The owner this now. There's a lot of this
like
owner
that.
this. I'm like, listen, man. I've heard this whole spiel before.
Yeah, we've definitely won games in spite of our owner.
Coach,
offensive coordinator's been a thing. But here's the crazy part about that with New York. They was wrong about that, and that's why I'm kind of hammering that Freddie Kitchens point. You see it. We're going to talk about this more in the Giants game, but I've already let this cat out the bag on the Giant overreaction on Monday. There is absolutely no reason why your team's starting quarterback should throw 25 yards in back-to-back weeks. That should not happen in the NFL. I don't care who's playing quarterback. You just saw Tim Boyle go out there with the Detroit Lions, put up 270-something yards. You see Josh Johnson out here doing things. Mike White. You seeing Davis Mills. Across the league on bum squads, you're seeing quarterbacks still be able to put up reasonable numbers. That the Giants have only put up 25 yards passing in 2 straight games here with 2 different starting quarterbacks. To me, that don't say more about the backup quarterbacks, Mike Glennon and Jake Fromm. That says a lot about, 1, the philosophy, and 2, the game plans and how they're being coached on the field. And that's why I think Joe Judge lost it. I think that's why he lost it in the press conference. He just snapped. It's like he knows his job is on the line now, even after rumors and reports came out that he was secure going into 2022. It's not looking like that right now in New York.
I just don't see how you could keep him as a head coach at this point.
Yeah, especially given the history, man. It's been bad.
It's really bad. Everybody's got to go. You really need to clean house and bring in all new people. That's the only way, because it's
I think that's the only thing that gives us hope. I was telling that to Tim from Online Big Blue. Like, he said, "What do you think the Giants could do to give them, give the fan base and give the team some hope?" And I'm like, clean house. That's really it. I think any other option. We're going to talk about it more during the game, but I think that any other option, you're not giving the Giants fans hope. Even optimistic fans now are looking at the New York Giants sideways like, okay, it's been 5 years. We're the worst team in the league. We can no longer hang our hat on those 2 Super Bowls, and we can no longer say, oh, but there's the Jets. Because the Jets, they just competed with the Bucs. Did you see when we played the Bucs when we came out of the bye? The Bucs blew the socks off the New York Giants. That doesn't make any sense to me, because the Jets don't have the kind of personnel, especially offensively, that the New York Giants have. So for me, there's no more excuses here. Like, you got to get rid of some coaches. You got to make another move. They tried to use Jason Garrett as that sacrificial lamb, like we've been talking about, like my man Tim from Online Big Blue has been talking about as well. And it got the pressure, from the fan base to lighten up a little bit. But now we're right back to where we started. Even worse, if you ask me right now. I think Giants fans are really looking for us to clean house now and just start it over. Just rebuild it from scratch.
I think in all honesty, all it really did was it exposed the entirety of the coaching staff. And,
right.
Not because they were really hoping, okay, like if Jason Garrett's gone and we can somehow win a couple of games, at least perform at a certain level, then, we can save our jobs and, what I'm saying, we won't look as incompetent. But now it's like you got rid of him, and obviously we know the transition is not going to be like overnight. Like, it's a completely different transition than going from offensive coordinator in season into the next season. You have a whole off season of preparation or whatnot. But still, to just be that bad, it exposes the entirety of the coaching staff, and it's not a good look.
Yeah, and Joe Judge, you were the guy who picked Freddie Kitchens to step up, and you said it was going to be a collective effort. You didn't go out there and go try to find the next guy, as far as the organization goes. And the transition from Jason Garrett from when we played the Bucs to the following week, that's one of the better presentations that this offense has put up. The last 2 weeks, that doesn't even look like NFL football, man. It's just been pitiful. And I'm feeling for Giants fans, especially the younger ones out there, man, who haven't seen no wins. I'm just really feeling for them because it's just like, where's the hope? If you keep this roster intact, you keep this coaching staff intact, there's no hope for the New York Giants right now. You don't got no one who's going to go above and beyond the X's and O's right now, especially at the quarterback position. And we don't even know the future of the quarterback position with the neck injury to Daniel Jones right now. So it's like no one knows what's going on, man. But I've got a couple of thoughts that I definitely want to get into about the quarterback situation in New York. I'm going to wait till we get to that game. But let's go to some shout-outs first, man. Get some people in the chat, and then we'll tackle this Cowboys game first.
Shout out to everybody who's watching us right now on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. We appreciate all the love and the support. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up while you guys are here. First person in the building, Coach Taylor. What's going on, Coach Taylor? Good to see you, sir. Appreciate you stopping on by. My favorite GQ name on YouTube, Mr. Edward Squires. What's going on,
what up,
sir? Great
Mr.
to see you.
Squires.
Great to see you. Big shout out to the man himself, Mr. Lucas, checking in from Australia. Says AATB.
Yes, sir.
You already know, J-Mo. The heavyweight champion of the world.
He said the beard power
bombed COVID.
Yeah, that's them old school wrestling moves. What y'all know about the Boston Crab? This good old suplex, the razor's edge. I go back with the WWF vibes. I'm not, I'm like a pre-Rocky Maivia. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know what you're saying, but I know you know what you're saying.
See,
that's
okay,
all that
so
matters.
let me clarify for you. See, you're a little too young for this one. Maybe a year too young for this one. So The Rock, you know the guy, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. That was his first name when he first.
When he first started.
Oh, all right. So why am I clearing this up for you, man?
I just, I'm not as knowledgeable about the old school wrestling as yourself.
I got you. Shout out to Great Muda.
I do know Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan. You know what I'm saying? Undertaker,
we don't talk
Big
about Hulk
Show.
Hogan on this channel. Brother.
Oh man, big shout out to. I do drop a lot of brothers. Big shout out to Marjorie, always holding us down in the
Big
chat.
shout
We
out,
appreciate
Marjorie.
it for sure. E-Suds in the building.
Yes, sir.
What's
What up,
going on?
fam?
Good to see you. I do notice we got some new names in the building. Shout out to Ian Brand.
Hey, shout out Ian one
Giants
time.
fan.
Welcome to the fam. Welcome to the fam.
Appreciate you stopping on by. Zachary is in the building. Who is worse, Dan Snyder or Joe Judge? And then he corrected himself, John Mara.
I'm going to go. You could put all three of them. I'm going to go Snyder.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole episode right there. Big shout out to Marcus, says on lunch break, you got 30 minutes. Let's get it.
Let's
boys.
get it.
Appreciate you stopping by. Julissa is in the building. The Formula Fitness, thank
Shout
you.
out to
It
Lisa.
is good to be back. It is good to be back. And speaking of getting back, the Get Back, Ash Money is in the
My
building.
guy,
Good
what's
to
up,
see
fam?
you.
What's up?
Maria's in the building as well. Tonyo Bot. And then
Tony O, what's good, boy?
big shout out to a new subscriber, Mr. Dominic Palmer. Welcome.
I think
to the
that might be Dom from Tim's channel from Online Big Blue. If it is, shout out Dom. He was on the panel with us today, man. That was fun chopping it up with you guys, man. Appreciate you pulling up, man. And if it's not Dom, we appreciate the subscription anyway, man. Welcome to the fam.
Mr. Mini Guy is in the building as well with his trademark yo, yo, yo. And big shout outs to No Mets, No Nets, No Jets. Always appreciate you
Yes,
dropping
sir.
by and saying hello. Who else we got? James Funk is checking in from Facebook. Appreciate the love on Facebook,
Got to
holding
keep
us
it
down.
funky.
Lax 044.
What up? What
What's
up?
going on? Good to see you. Good to see you. And we got another new name in the chat. Shout out to Jeff Charles. Says, I'm a Titans fan and I found y'all recently. Keep up the dope work. Y'all need a head coach like Vrabel.
That's a good point, Jeff. That is a good point, man. Solid coaching keeps rosters intact, man. Y'all been doing a fantastic job over there with Tennessee. When a lot of people wrote y'all off, man, and right now looking like it's going to be the #1 seed for the Titans, man. It's looking real good for y'all, man. And then if what I'm hearing, I don't know if this is the truth, But I thought I heard something about Derrick Henry maybe being able to get back in the playoffs or something like that.
Yeah, he's starting his 3-week, I think today, he's starting his 3-week, I don't even know what the term they use for it, but basically he's going to start practicing on a limited basis now.
Shout out Ash Money. That's the real get back right there. That's going to be the real get back. Would love to see Henry back on the field and Cam Akers, man. I love what I'm seeing out of them Rams right now.
I can't wait for playoffs. Even though we're not in the playoffs, I can't wait for playoffs.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. Big shout out to Sebastian. Says, what up, Awthentik and the best beard on YouTube.
What up, what up?
We appreciate it, sir, for sure. Big shout out to old man Rob checking in. Appreciate you stopping.
Old man Rob in the building. What up, fam? What up?
In the building. So, yeah, definitely big shout outs to everybody who is stopping by. Dominic says, yes, it is me from Tim's channel. Subbed straight after. Was great chatting earlier. Got to go to bed now, but enjoyed listening.
Yeah, Dom is over there. I forget where Dom is. He's like UK, London, something like that. So the time zone difference is totally different. It's probably like 3 in the morning over there or something, man. Get some rest, man. Definitely want to get you on the channel one of these days, bro, and appreciate it, man. It was good chopping it up with you.
Faux show. All right. Talk about them Cowboys.
Talk about them Cowboys. I thought the Cowboys was going to win this game. I picked the Cowboys to win. I think
Not
you picked
me.
the Cardinals out of your hatred for the Cowboys.
Yeah. I told everybody Sunday morning. I said, look, that Arizona defense about to show y'all.
That Arizona defense, you got to maximize your opportunities. So, you just say the Cowboys, you got the roadmap 17 times out of the year. You're going to be right at least good 7, and we'll highlight those. We're not going to highlight the wrong ones. Of course not. Got to highlight the good ones.
I was pretty spot on this year when it comes to Cowboys stuff.
Ooh, I don't know about that. I mean, your record prediction there that we showed at the beginning of the show, I don't know if that's pretty spot on.
Well, as we moved into the year, it had a little bit more concrete evidence on to make our basis on,
I definitely feel you on that, man. All right, so let's get to it. I love how the graphics department blessed us with the white background for the Cowboys. Kind of gives me those Thanksgiving vibes, man. Facing the playoff-bound Arizona Cardinals, Dak Prescott and company struggled to get into a groove offensively for much of the game on their way to a disappointing loss. A defeat that has significant postseason implications. With the Bucs and the Rams both winning their games earlier in the day, the Cowboys, who have already captured the NFC East, dropped to 4th place in the current conference standings. Although he was named NFC Offensive Player of the Week for his 330-yard passing performance against the Washington football team last Sunday, Dak Prescott had just 150 yards through the first 3 quarters versus the Cardinals and finished the day with just 226 passing yards in total. He would, however, throw 3 touchdown passes, and in doing so, he set a new career high for passing touchdowns with 32. The Dak Prescott effort was not enough as Kyler Murray and the Cardinals went on to win the game 25-22. Dak Prescott finished the day 24 for 38 for 226 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Now, around the Twitter sphere, people have been kind of acting like, Dak Prescott had a bad game, but I think this says the status of what kind of quarterback he is, because Dak Prescott's lows are some of the other teams in the NFC East quarterbacks' highs. And that right there is a pretty decent game. He was also their leading rusher, which is very surprising. He had 5 carries for 20 yards. Ezekiel Elliott was pretty much shut down all day. 9 carries for 16 yards. Tony Pollard added 3 rushes for 9 yards and 3 receptions in the passing game. Seems like the Cardinals forced Dak Prescott in this offense to rely on passes to the tight ends. Dalton Schultz had a day with 6 receptions, 54 yards on 10 targets, man. Dalton Schultz getting 10 targets. I'd like to see my guy Kenny Galladay get 10 targets in a game. But the Beard, let me talk to you about this one, man. Before we get into the roadmap that you had for the Cardinals to win this game, I just wanted to highlight one quick thing about Michael Gallup, man. He had the lone passing, or actually he had the second receiving touchdown from the Dallas Cowboys on the day. Tore his ACL on the play. Prayers out to him, man. Hope he gets well. I thought that he was the kind of guy who was about to see a big bag of money, whether it be with the Cowboys or not, because he seemed like a real weapon coming off their bench. Unfortunately for him, he wasn't able to stay healthy this whole season, man. That's the second injury, and this one's going to have him out for a long time. You never want to have them ACL injuries at the end of the year, man. Very hard to rehab for those. He's going to have to wait a little while before he gets to surgery, man. But best of luck to Michael Gallup moving forward. I think he's going to be a free agent at the end of the season, too, which is going to yield some problems for him moving forward in his career. But Let's talk about this defense from the Cardinals. Let's talk about this Cardinals game plan. Kyler Murray, tell me about this roadmap.
I mean, listen, I really think that the speed of the Arizona Cardinals is what gave the Cowboys the most trouble, offensively and defensively. I think, I talk about the Cardinals defense, and they are very inconsistent. And it's funny because on Twitter I was talking about, I told y'all the Cardinals, defense, and they were going to beat the Cowboys, and then Awthentik replied back, but wait, how are we supposed to know they lost to the Lions the week before?
I know, that was crazy. That was crazy.
There's definitely some inconsistency there. I just think that, like I said, the speed of the Cardinals offensively and defensively just seemed to give the Cowboys trouble. And the Cowboys with another slow start as well, which is interesting because if you look at the Washington football team games, obviously, they're not the Arizona Cardinals. But a lot of these games where the Cowboys are playing better competition and not necessarily the Giants and the Washington football team.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
But, they seem to have a little bit of an issue getting out the gates, even especially like in the Denver game too. It's very – and BB Jones says in the chat, it's up and down. Like, it's really weird how, when you see the Cowboys clicking on all cylinders, which we have, they look like a dominant team. But then when things aren't going their way, they look very beatable. And I still really believe that it has a lot to do with the run game. I have to, right? Like I don't, especially in December football, playoff football, you got to find a way to run the ball. And what's interesting to me is that when you have somebody like Zeke and Pollard, if Zeke's not on and he's averaging 1.9 yards per clip in this game, why does Tony Pollard only have 3 carries? You know what I'm saying?
That is kind of interesting, yeah.
And then, for Dak to be your leading rusher, I mean, they ran for 45 yards in this game, and Dak ran for 20 of those 45, and 20 of those yards, 12 of the 20 yards came on one run. So it's like
it looks very much like the opening day loss Thursday night to the Bucs. Where they try to, it's almost like you trying to pick the lock, right? You put the paper clip in the lock and you trying to feel it out, seeing if the running game is actually going to work for the first couple quarters there. And then as soon as it doesn't work, you abandon it and you go, hey, we're going to try to kick down this door with the passing game. And the game against the Bucs, it was the exact same thing. You almost saw a game plan that was not committed to the run. It was let us just kind of test the waters a little bit. And then as soon as we realize it doesn't work the way that we think it's not going to work, we're going to immediately go to the pass because we're playing against a team that we know can put up a lot of points on the board. Week 1 being the Bucs, and here in Week 17 being the Cardinals, you know that you're going to have to put up some touchdowns playing up against a guy like Kyler Murray and that Cardinals offense.
And as much as I loved Schultz, and that I think that the tight end is super important, especially in today's football. But the Cowboys 3 of 11 on third down. And CeeDee Lamb only has 4 targets in the entire game. CeeDee Lamb is usually a guy that is a go-to guy that's getting fed the rock on third downs, especially when you need a big play. And for me, you got to find a way to get CeeDee Lamb the ball, get him in the game, even if it's maybe on a run.
Yeah, or a quick stop route, something that will get the ball into his hands quick.
It's just 4 targets to me, just the whole entire offensive game plan just seemed a little flawed. And I don't know if they were trying to avoid certain areas of the Arizona defense. They got to Dak a couple of times. Dak's fumble was one of the most costly things in the game.
Yeah.
And then
which Cowboys are normally a team that could bounce back from one turnover like that. But I think they were with the third down conversions, the 3 of 11. Now you're so limited that every time you get the ball, you're pressing. This is where the New York Giants are always at, even when Daniel Jones is at quarterback. Every offensive possession seems like it's going to be the last possession. It's almost like you have to maximize every time you get the ball. And with the Cowboys here, the Cardinals had 72 plays to their 57. So you're looking at almost 20 more plays, 15 more plays than the Cowboys actually ran. And it just feels like when you're not converting on third down, you 3 for 11. And then on the flip side of that, the Cardinals being 7 of 16, if you look at that third quarter drive that the Cardinals had, they're just marching down the field, first down after first down after first down, keeping Dak Prescott on the sidelines. after they kicked that field goal before the half to cut the game to be a really close game. I felt like that third quarter drive is the drive to really put the Cowboys away for real. And I want to say it extended the lead to about 20. Was it 22-7 at that point? I believe. I think it was 22-7 at that point. And now you're looking at when it's a 2-score game, that's when the offense is really getting to panic mode, especially the Cowboys who are not used to playing from behind.
Yeah, and in the third downs, you talked about it. Arizona converted on so many third downs, and a lot of that was speed. A lot of that was Kyler Murray on the edge, and Chase Edmonds on the edge. It's just, and you think about it, you're like, Dallas's defense isn't, isn't slow by any means. But like, I don't know. The Arizona really found some gaps and holes in that Cowboys defense. I mean, AJ Green was giving Trayvon Diggs the business. And, the Dallas Cowboys, we talked about this, how they led the league in takeaways. 33, I want to say, takeaways going into this game.
I noticed that you talked about AJ Green, too. You mentioned him off air, too, before we got on. But really, it's the one big play. 3 catches. That's not that much damage. But he has a 43-yard reception.
Yeah, but the three plays, I want to say the 3 of his catches were on third down.
Yeah, I know. So I don't want to spread the narrative that Diggs is getting cooked by AJ Green.
Yeah, okay. Well, maybe I should be a little bit less generous on my admiration of AJ Green and my.
I like to see AJ Green doing well too, especially after that blunder he had in the beginning of the year where he just didn't run around and he tried to block. I mean, that was really bad. But they had another wide receiver that I was relatively unfamiliar with before this game.
I have no idea who
Antoine Wesley.
Wesley.
I never heard of
Wesley. There's another guy who had the catch, the run, Goucher. I'd never heard of before.
Wesley had the 2 touchdowns on 5 targets. Yeah, he's a guy that I haven't heard of all year.
Yeah, he's had a couple of those games, but I mean, it's difficult because when you have DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, and AJ Green, you kind of fall back into the rotation a little bit. But also, special teams for Dallas.
Who's the rookie over there for the Cardinals?
Oh, Rondale
Moore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who was out for this game. But special teams for the Cowboys, too, was pretty bad today. I mean, in this game, they missed the field goal and then the fake punt, which with that amazing catch. Shout out to that guy, who I think is the 3rd-string running back. He made
that was a fire
catch. Insane catch. So, also Dallas's penalties. That's been a problem in their losses as well. They had 10 penalties for 88 yards in this game. Absolutely way too many penalties.
That's unacceptable.
So
they have one of the offensive masterminds in the league in Kellen Moore. It really surprises me when it's time for him to adjust. When things are going well, Kellen Moore's great.
It's great.
It's great. I mean, people in New York are talking about Kellen Moore as a head coach. I'm just like, I don't know, man. You might want to pump the brakes on that because every time I've seen Kellen Moore have to adjust, the Cowboys never come away with the W. And I do think that he's one of the premier offensive coordinators in this league. Definitely a mastermind. But, this is one of those kind of games where you're looking at it like, this is like playoff implications on the line. You're looking for your coordinator to really scheme things up. And to see CeeDee Lamb get that few of targets on the day, it's really just unacceptable. And Amari Cooper, man, just nowhere to be found, man. 7 targets on the day, but he only had 3 catches for 18 yards. So it's like you can't have a day like that out of both of your 1A, 1B wide receivers when it comes to Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. And then Michael Gallup not really having a big day either. Outside of that touchdown, really didn't do much, and then he gets hurt, and, just things aren't really clicking for them. You don't want to see Cedric Wilson being your leading wide receiver as far as receptions go. That's just not a formula for the Dallas Cowboys to win.
And if you're not getting that production from Lamb and Cooper, right?
That'll be running the ball.
Typically during the season, you look at the box score and it's Zeke and Pollard combining for like 150, 175 yards.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're not getting the production from, you look at Dak's final stat line, 24, 38, 226, 3 touchdowns. You're like, hey, that sounds pretty good, right?
Yeah.
But it's just the slow start, the lack of big plays, no third down conversions, and penalties. Bad special. Just everything that you can't afford to go wrong against a team like the Cardinals went wrong for the Cowboys in this game.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you look for Christian Kirk to step up in this game, and we knew he'd step up to some extent with D-Hop out of the lineup here until the playoffs is looking like. But Christian Kirk, man, balled out. 6 receptions, 79 yards. He had the big 43-yard reception, 9 targets. He stepped in that 1A role in a great way, and it's good to have a guy like that. I was, when Christian Kirk, I can remember he was one of the wide receivers coming out of college. I remember when he was coming out, I was pretty high on him because they were talking about how he had punt return skills, and I liked him. I was thinking maybe the Giants could go after a guy like that at the time. And, he's kind of took the back seat to what's happened there with D-Hop. But I think he's a solid number 2. I think you can work with him at number 2, especially when you got a guy like Kyler Murray, a quarterback. Shout out my homie Tim from Online Big Blue one time in the building. He's a big Cardinals fan as well. He's a diehard New York Giants fan, but he told me on the stream just now, yeah, I'm about to be turning into a Cards fan come playoffs. Big Kyler Murray fan. And shout out to Tim, man. He had me on his platform before we got on air today, man. Salute to you, man. Appreciate you pulling up in the building. But this was this one of those games, man, that I think we might get a rematch here in the playoffs. And I think that doesn't yield well for the Cardinals. You never want to see the same team twice after you beat them in the regular season. New York Giants fans know all about that on our Super Bowl runs. We did it to the Cowboys who beat us in the regular season. We did it to the Bucks. We did it to the Patriots. We did it to the Packers. And I just think that this doesn't yield well. For Cowboys, Mike McCarthy, Kellen Moore, I think this was kind of like the beta run. And, hopefully in the playoffs they could get things together for Cowboys fans.
Listen, I just think that teams like the Cardinals are going to give the Cowboys problems.
I think that, as far as the playoffs go,
Eagles this last week? It is.
Yes,
Cowboys,
it is.
Eagles.
It is.
But they're probably gonna sit their starters, I'd imagine.
Unless there's some kind of something on the line here where you can boost up your seeding, because if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you don't really want to be the 4 seed. The higher seed you could be, the better. Granted, only the number 1 seed is going to get a bye. But I think as far as the NFC goes and playoffs go, it's not going to surprise me if any team beats any of the teams. We know about the Packers.
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers be on his choke mission all the time. You never know what's going to happen with them. If he's just going to pull up and just shoot a dud. You never know. And the Eagles, I think, are a team that can really beat anyone in this playoff bracket in the NFC because the way they run the ball. And if we've seen it time after time. Think about how San Francisco got to the Super Bowl that year with Jimmy Garoppolo. It was literally on the back of Raheem Mostert. He had those big games back-to-back, one of them against the Packers where I think he was pushing like 200 yards on the ground or something crazy like that. So for me, once it get cold, I think the Eagles are definitely a team that can beat anybody. I think the Cowboys are that team too. You never know when the Rams offense is going to shut down. And if that Rams offense shut down, I don't think they have the defense anymore to be able to keep teams in the low scoring ranges of like 13 anymore. It's not quite a shootout when you play the Rams, but those games have typically been in the 20s. And, you're going to have to put up some points if you're going to be the Rams for sure. So if their offense comes out and, you can find a way to stop Cooper Kupp and stop Van Jefferson and Odell Beckham, shout out Odell Beckham, who's been playing some great ball lately. I think you have a chance to beat them. And then the Bucks, man, the Jets just competed with the Bucks. So if you tell me the Cowboys or the Eagles can't beat the Bucks, I don't see that. I think they can beat any of these teams in the playoffs. The NFC bracket I love it. I think it's a great NFC bracket. I think the best teams are there. And we weeded out a bunch of the BS. Now we really got the good premier teams here in the NFC that are going to go and face it off, and let the best team win here. We'll see how it goes.
So to kind of round this out a little bit, if you're Dallas and you go into this game against the Eagles, you're playing your starters all the way through, or half the game, or not at all.
If there's anything on the line for me to boost up, the seeding, my guys are playing.
I didn't even get a chance to look at the schedule. I know they already did all the flex games and everything. I'd imagine that Chargers game is probably the night game, isn't it?
I would imagine that. Yeah, that would be a great game to flex.
That's the only winner goes in, right?
Yeah, that's going to be the Monday night game. No, Sunday night game. So Chargers Raiders is Sunday night. 49ers Rams is at 4 o'clock. The Cowboys are going to be, let me see where that Cowboys Eagles game looks like. It's a 1 o'clock game. Saturday.
Oh no, Saturday
at 8:15. You're going to have the Cowboys and the Eagles, and Giants and Washington play Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Oh man, I can't wait.
Yeah, I can wait, man. But our last game, I'm like, damn, the season just flew by on us that quickly. But it's going to be a fun week, man. Definitely going to be a fun week prepping for the Washington and New York Giants game. And it's good to end it out on 2 NFC East matchups. Makes things easier for us too, as far as notes, research. Shout out to the graphics department. They're only gonna have to make 2 graphics for this upcoming preview show we're gonna be doing on Thursday. But great performance by the Cardinals. I will say that. Shout out to the Cardinal Rule. I don't know if he's here in the building, but that's a great performance. Bounce back game by the Cardinals. That's how you do it going into the playoffs. I'm sure they're riding high and sitting up on that high horse right now, going into the playoffs and ready to make their push, man. For me in the NFC right now, it's just no telling. I think the Packers are the front runner, but it's really no telling. I think all these teams got a great shot.
Man, I'll tell you, watching Aaron Rodgers and DeVante Adams it's just something different. Something different.
DeVante Adams is just, unstoppable. He's, like you see those games from Terry McLaurin, right, where he gets shut down and you're kind of like, all right, every wide receiver gets shut down every now and again.
Not DeVante Adams.
Not DeVante Adams. He's just that guy.
And the thing that's so crazy is like some of those throws where you see like the back shoulders and just like it's just so like perfect, like on both ends, between Rodgers and DeVante Adams. And I was listening to Adams at the end of the game, and they were talking about it on the touchdown, and he was like, "I'll tell you the crazy thing about it is that wasn't even the coverage that we were expecting them to play, but just." Because Aaron Rodgers, and like we didn't change the play, but because Aaron just felt comfortable and we're such on the same page that I ran the route that I did, and the ball was already there. Like
and I'd be surprised that like more teams aren't effective like that. Because like I play ball, a lot of it is you can improv. If I'm supposed to run a post and you see me take 2 steps towards the post and we see it's not covered and I break out and go to the corner, you playing quarterback, you should be able to see that. These guys have been playing football now for like, 6-7 years? DeVante Adams has been in the league since he's the Odell Beckham draft, I want to say. He's 2014. So he's been in the league since 2014. They've built that chemistry. And I think that it's hard to build that kind of chemistry quick, but I will say this, Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp have definitely built that chemistry just quickly within 1 year. It seems like Matthew Stafford is really good with wide receivers because Kenny Galladay, the fall off is ridiculous. He has no touchdowns on the year. Talking about a guy who led the league in touchdowns with a portion of the season being played with Matthew Stafford and then half the season being played with David Blow and a few other backups, and he was still getting touchdowns. But I think it's important that, you get that 1-2 punch with the quarterback and the number 1 wide receiver to be able to have those kind of chemistry type plays where you could throw a back shoulder fade. The Giants with Daniel Jones and Kenny Galladay, they haven't even thrown a back shoulder fade all year.
Yeah, no. I don't even get me started about quarterback play and back shoulder passes with Washington.
Oh, you know what I was going to ask you today? If you had to take one wide receiver, age don't matter, and I don't think it would matter in this comparison. You going Cooper Kupp or DeVante Adams?
DeVante Adams.
DeVante Adams. I like that. I like that answer. I'm going to go Cooper Kupp just to keep things even here on Authentic in the Beard, even though I'm kind of leaning more towards DeVante Adams myself.
I mean, I had to go quick there. We didn't really dive into like the stipulations or anything, but I don't know. There's something about DeVante Adams, man.
Swag. Cooper Kupp, he gets it done, but it's not swaggy. It's very Wes Welker-like. It's very rigid. A little bit, right? You ain't seeing them jukes where you like, swag, you're not seeing those.
And listen, they're two totally different wide receivers too. You know what I'm saying? Like
a little bit. I think that Cooper Kupp can actually do a little bit more dirty work in the middle of the field than DeVante does.
For sure.
Yeah.
But DeVante Adams is more of a big play threat, I think, than Cooper Kupp is.
Yeah, that's facts, man. So Cowboys got the Eagles next week. Cardinals, who the Cardinals got this coming up?
Probably
Cardinals got the Seahawks.
Rams?
So that's probably a W. Seahawks have been playing terrible football. I want to say they got 5 wins on the year. Sitting at 5-11. So that should be another
Metcalf
win.
Finally woke up this week. I think he had a couple of touchdowns. Rashad Penny, man. He killed us.
Killed us. Rashad Penny killed us, man. But we'll see how things move with the Cowboys moving forward. So we're going Giants second game?
Giants second game.
God, this is like reliving Giant overreaction on Monday. I hate the New York Giants. Joe Judge, I really don't like you. We got a lot to talk about here. All right, let's keep this one chill. No hype beats because, we don't got nothing to really look forward to. Them Bears colors looking real good. Shout out to the graphics department one time. The New York Giants. We might have to remove the whole football Giants thing. I don't know, man. They haven't been playing football lately. But the New York Giants fell to the Chicago Bears 29-3 for their 5th consecutive loss by double digits. The Giants completed just 4 passes against the Bears on Sunday, as they now have averaged 10.3 points in their last 7 games since the bye week. And let me say that again. That's a touchdown and a field goal we've been averaging per game for 7 straight weeks. After being asked why fans should have faith in his guidance, Joe Judge spent 11 minutes answering one question in that press conference. I promise you never seen nothing like this before in your entire life. For all the Giants fans out there who stopped watching the press conferences maybe about 4 or 5 weeks ago like I have, I've kind of supplemented them and replaced them with my homie Hefe's videos that he's been putting out. Shout out to the homie Hefe, man. Great, hilarious content about the New York Giants. But he went on for 11 total minutes in a rant. In all of my days of watching New York Giants football, I've never seen a coach go on a 11-minute rant. And he even took a couple of slights at your Washington football team. Let's go into some of these quotes that stood out to me. I was gonna bring audio clips, but I felt like I could read them a little bit more dramatic to make my points a little bit more understood here. He said, first of all, he used the word ain't about 20 times during this 11 minutes, and I've never even heard Joe Judge say, we ain't gone. He was getting a little ghetto on him. I thought that was pretty interesting. He said, this ain't a team that's having fist fights on the sidelines, because we have our fist fights on the field. Kadarius Toney against the Cowboys, in case you forgot, tried to punch a man with a helmet on. That never yields well for your hands. You don't want to break your hand. And I want to say that Kadarius Toney is dealing with some kind of hand injury this year. Might date back to that. Definitely a shot at your Washington football team. He said, this ain't, after he said, this ain't a team that's having fistfights on the sidelines. He said, this ain't some clown show organization or something else, okay? And
that also a shot at us, I'm assuming?
That's a shot at y'all. And that's also a shout, or a shot, maybe a shout, to the Giants fan base on Twitter, too, because a lot of people really have a Joe Judge avatar as their profile pic, where he literally has on a clown wig and a clown nose. So I think he might be paying attention to the social media world a little bit. He also said, this one really stood out to me, too. I didn't know what the hell he was talking about with this one. He said, I almost want to read them all back to back. He said, he said, this ain't a team that's having fist fights on the sidelines. This ain't some clown organization or something else, okay? You ain't seeing guys planning vacations. You ain't seeing golf clubs in front of players' lockers. Is this happening in New York? Did somebody have a set of clubs next to their locker getting ready to go on a vacation? Because if that's the case, these NFL locker rooms is definitely wild. And then he said, you ain't seeing it, all right? And that's not because of some high school program, because we're cracking the whip. I have never heard a Caucasian man use that kind of term in a press conference. He said a high school program because we're not cracking the whip. I don't know what Joe Judge is smoking, but it's definitely not W's. The Giants were 1 for 11 on third down. Now, Chicago didn't fare too well either. They were 6 of 16. 0 attempts in the red zone, 4 turnovers on the day. Surprisingly, the time of possession was just about equal. I mean, an 8-second difference for the Chicago Bears. 40 rush attempts, 11 passes for negative 10 yards. Somebody got to tell me how you pass for negative 10 yards. You don't got to tell me, I'm just joking. But that don't make no sense, man. 4 turnovers, negative 10 passing yards. The first play, the first drop back for the New York Giants with Mike Glennon was a fumble. Now, let's bring up a couple little other statistics from the Twitter sphere, okay? You got Dan Campbell and the Lions over there. They just put up 29 points, 250 passing yards, 2 touchdowns from a backup quarterback named Tim Boyle this weekend, okay? Odell Beckham has 5 touchdowns in his past 6 appearances with the Rams. He's only been on the field with the Rams for 7 total games. The New York Giants wide receiver core, can you guess how many touchdowns the New York Giants wide receiver core has on the year?
I think they have 2, maybe 3.
4. That's a roster. That's a whole room of people that get together on a weekly basis that have less touchdowns than Odell Beckham, who just got traded I'm sorry, didn't get traded, who just got signed by the Rams after the bye week here, okay? This makes no sense. I know
Jamar
you like
Chase,
them roadmaps where you
Jamar
hammer the
Chase
run.
had 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns
In one game. And we have 4 touchdowns all season. I think that might be Jamar Chase's second time getting 3 touchdowns, too. I know he got some 2 touchdown performances for sure. Now, this to me just screams coaching and development because, like I talked about in the intro, you got back-to-back weeks, man, where the Giants now, their starting quarterback has put up 25 yards. Mike Glennon, 24 on 11 throws. Your boy Jake Fromm was 6 of 17 before they pulled the plug on him for 25 yards, man. To me, these guys don't just get to the NFL. It's not like they picking them up off the Awthentik and the Beard chat like, hey, how about we get Rachel to go play quarterback? Bluegrass, we need you out here to come play wide receiver. Marjorie, we're going to need you at left tackle. And Stan, we're going to need you at quarterback, okay? It's just not happening. That's not how it's going down. These guys have worked their way up to the NFL, and I know Mike Glennon is 6-20 whatever as a starter, but he has never fared this bad on the football field. Entertainer posted a statistic today about Mike Glennon that it showed that he, I want to say it was 9% of his throws have been intercepted. That's not,
what?
That's every 10 throws, you're throwing an interception out there. That's not a good thing. Now, I know your roadmaps, you love them roadmaps with all them runs. 35, 40. That's how we, run it. Run the damn ball.
It also includes 20 passes, not 11 passes for 25 yards.
Hey, now, these boys ran the ball 40 times, okay? 40 whole times. And Saquon Barkley broke 100 yards. Thank God for that. I like that. I do like Saquon Barkley doing well because they've been doing him an extreme disservice with this offensive line. And you know I've been talking about this. The way they utilize Saquon Barkley in the Giants offense has been ridiculous. You got to utilize him like a hybrid running back, like the true hybrid running back that he is. Now, when I go to the, every week I go to the box score and I look at the top, stat leaders for each team. And I for every game, I try to have stat leaders, right? And in doing so for this New York Giants game, when it comes to passing the ball, there's 4 players we can highlight here. There's no top of the stat chart here. There was 4 players who combined for everything that happened in the passing game for the New York Giants. Mike Glennon was 4 for 11 for 24 yards. So that means he only completed 4 throws. 2 of them to DeVante Booker coming out the backfield. Guess how many yards DeVante Booker had on those receptions?
0 yards.
0 yards. And in the wide receiver core, Evan Ingram and David Sills activated off the practice squad. Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember, but we cut David Sills early on in the year when he came out there. He dressed for one game. They gave him one quick slant pass, hit him right in the hands on the gloves on the mitts. He dropped it. They said, you're out of here. Came back. He caught 1 catch for 12 yards, and Evan Ingram had 1 catch for 12 yards. That's it. That's passing game for the New York Giants. That's it. Running, you got Barkley, you got DeVante Booker. Not a lot of good in this game. I like Jalen Smith. I talked about this on Monday. He's doing some things. To all my Cowboys fans and friends out there that gave me the wrong advice on Twitter talking about Jalen Smith is washed, you are completely wrong on that. Thanks for giving me the terrible advice because Jalen Smith.
I told y'all. I said, it don't make no sense. It don't make no sense. The dude.
You definitely told us, even though I hate that saying. I told y'all.
I know. I hate it too, but sometimes you got to drop the hammer. You know what I'm saying?
You do. I don't know how much you told us. I mean, I'm going to holler at the graphics, the editing department, see if they can chop up some clips, and try to get us some receipts.
I wanted him, remember? I wanted him. I was like, let's go get him. And nobody got him.
I forgot about it. There was 2 instances we talked about Jalen Smith because it was this last one when the Giants signed him, but there was also the time when the Cowboys released him and the Packers ended up picking him up. I'm curious as to why it didn't work. Tate Crowder,
it's a scheme, maybe.
It could be a scheme thing, but when my homies, so my homie Mario is a Cowboys fan and a DJ out here. He was linking me to some videos on YouTube. Excuse me, and it was a dude breaking down like how Jalen Smith pretty much lost his like his burst. Like he's not putting his helmet in there on these running plays, and like the aggressiveness wasn't there. And on the plays that they highlighted, it showed for sure. But you could slice it up anyway. I saw somebody slice up a Daniel Jones highlight tape today. You know what the first highlight was? his throw in preseason, his touchdown to Caden Smith. I'm like, you putting preseason stuff in the man's highlight reel? For people that don't know, they gonna be fooled, you know. So you can make it look good however you want to make it look good. But I like Tay Crowder in this game, and I think James Bradberry made a case for himself in this game too. You know, yeah, he been getting burnt, and he looks like he lost a step. I'll credit the scheme thing more to James Bradberry than I would to Jalen Smith, because James Bradberry's like, he's just not in the right position. He's not a speedster when it comes to the cornerback position, but he is a ball hawk, and that's what I like about him. He does seem to find his way around the ball a lot. Offensively for the Bears, Andy Dalton came in, and you know, he did his best Andy Dalton, 18-35. They threw the ball a ton in this game. 173 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. But most of the damage was done from Darnell Mooney and David Montgomery in the running game with David Montgomery, and Mooney with the 69 yards and a touchdown for sure. It was good to see Allen Robinson kind of, you know, get off a little bit in this game. I saw the 4 catches for 35 yards, and I was like, let me go and look at Allen Robinson's stats for the year, because I know, you know, when we do our parlay show on Sundays, Allen Robinson has been out of like the top 65 as far as top wide receivers go in fantasy. So I was like, let me go look at the stats. Now, Allen Robinson, he had the 4 catches for 35 yards. Since week 1, it's matched his season high as far as receptions go. He's had 4 catches 2 other times on the season. Now, week 1, they gave him 11 targets versus the Rams. It only got him 6 receptions in that game. He's only had over 6 targets 1 other time the whole entire year.
He doesn't have a 100-yard game all year, does he?
He doesn't have a 100-yard game all year. And outside of week
1,
one,
they kind of have this. It's interesting because those were the 2 big names.
Yeah.
Remember, like going into the offseason, obviously the Bears ended up keeping him, but still, like those were the 2 big wide receiver names. And
see,
I mean,
for me with Allen Robinson though, it looks like lack of commitment to him, and that's why I was talking about week 1. You give him 11 targets, and every other game outside of that this season, he has not breached 6 targets. So they're just not getting him the ball either. Allen Robinson has proven that he can make plays in this league without great quarterback play too. He's been doing that.
He's
I mean,
doing
Chicago.
his whole career.
Yeah, it's Chicago.
He was in Jacksonville before that.
Yeah, in Jacksonville. Who was the quarterback over there when he was over there? Bortles? Was Blake Bortles?
Yeah, I almost said Mark Brunell.
Man, I was about to say Blaine Gabbert. I don't need Blaine Gabbert, Blake Bortles, Mike Glennon. They're one person, to be honest. But you know, now watching this game, it's man, with the New York Giants, it's really hard now to assess them offensively. I will say this. The offensive problems that have been happening with the New York Giants throughout this year, the major ones, we can't blame Jason Garrett no more. I think that Jason Garrett was actually the glue that was keeping this offense from looking like pathetic how they've been looking the last couple of weeks. Freddie Kitchens is not the answer. Joe Judge.
So let me ask you, if you had to choose just one, the biggest problem, just one, with
one biggest problem on the New York Giants?
Only the offense.
Can I include the head coach?
Yeah.
Because if I'm going to include the head coach, 1,000% this is a head coach problem. And we're starting to see this as the season develops. Joe Judge went out there, man, and hired the largest coaching staff in the NFL. Now, he tried to make it seem like, hey, I never really wanted Jason Garrett. You know, that's the reports that was coming out. Joe Judge was never really on board for Jason Garrett. But what does that say about the philosophy from Joe Judge as a head coach? Would he have kept this similar conservative style of offense? Is that what he's trying to yield to by saying, I didn't want Jason Garrett? Because you hand-selected now Freddie Kitchens to come in here and call these plays, and this offense has not looked this bad since the beginning of man. We have not seen an offense look this bad.
I think I have to agree with you. I mean, listen, when you get rid of your offensive coordinator, right, and a lot of coaches will get passes, too, when they lose their quarterback, right? And it's almost like, you know, he's kind of hoping, I feel like, we forget that he had Daniel Jones for 75% of the season, whether it would be with Jason Garrett or without Jason Garrett. I just, to me, it's so bad. Like, I complain about my team's offense, right? And our offensive play calling and how we use the players that we have. And I look at the Giants, and we've been watching Giants football together for years. I honestly cannot remember it being this bad ever.
Okay, I got to highlight something here in the comments.
Yeah.
Shout out Heartstorm Media. He says, no, it's left tackle all day. I mean, but we got Andrew Thomas at left tackle. He's probably the MVP of the team. I don't know if I can agree with this statement right here. E. Sud says, bad coaching by not putting Fromm in starting second half. How sad is that statement? I think it says more about Freddie Kitchens and Jake Fromm not being able to overcome what Freddie Kitchens is putting out there as far as the game plan. Like I said, man, there's no find me 2 weeks in a row where a starting quarterback for the same team back-to-back threw for 25 yards or less. I don't think we've ever seen anything like that. This performance from Mike Glennon is the worst performance from a quarterback since 1998 from the San Diego Chargers with Ryan Leaf. Yeah. The New York Giants have never seen dismal offense like this, period. Now, if you say right tackle, yeah, right tackle's been a problem for sure. It's Nate Solder, but who's the coach that's continuously putting that same player out there every week to just get beat?
And listen, when they made the move from Jason Garrett, we all, I'm pretty sure we had the conversation where we're like, it's Freddie Kitchens. We do remember what happened last time Freddie Kitchens was doing anything in the NFL, right?
Yeah, it was Baker Mayfield. Remember, they had to get rid of Freddie Kitchens to see the maturation of Baker Mayfield, who was another game-managing average quarterback in the NFL.
So, I mean, the coaching and to me, like I said, all of the firing of Jason Garrett has exposed Joe Judge's flaw as a head guy.
Definitely.
Because you're showing not only do you have Jason Garrett, you're responsible for putting Freddie Kitchens in the position to be in the position he's in now. You know what I'm saying? You're the one who brought Freddie Kitchens onto your coaching staff. So it's not like, what are you going to say now? Like, oh, I didn't really want Freddie Kitchens, but I had to get rid of Jason Garrett, so I'm stuck with Freddie Kitchens.
When you fire a guy, right? Don't you fire a guy to improve? I know Freddie Kitchens, and I'm sure Joe Judge knew this too, that Freddie Kitchens was not going to be the offensive coordinator going into 2022, right? But if you're going to fire Jason Garrett midseason, shouldn't it be to go for an upgrade?
I mean, or somebody's head had to roll at that point. That's all that was.
See, and then now 100%. Where do you go from here? Because we only got to see Daniel Jones for about half, like a good half maybe of a football with Freddie Kitchens calling the plays. You sit Daniel Jones now for the rest of the year with the neck injury. Honestly, the way that they've been making up excuses for Daniel Jones and this offense, they're treating the Giants fan base like children. Like it's just a new excuse that you're just going to fall for again, 100. Right? And this is what they're going to say. They're going to say, oh, well, Freddie Kitchens didn't have his starting quarterback when he was calling plays, and that's why the offense looks so terrible and so pitiful. But I don't care. There is no excuse for your offense to net -10 passing yards. There's no excuse. I don't care if Awthentik and the Beard are out there running the offense for the New York Giants. You should be able to gain at least a good 50 yards to 100 yards on offense, even with this game plan that only had you throwing 11 attempts as far as passing goes and 40 runs. And the running game was kind of clicking. You mean tell me you can't boot and roll out and create a pocket to the outside? Joe Judge is telling the fans that we're preparing every week and we're going in the right direction, right? Ryan Clark said something so amazing on a Twitter clip that's been going around. He said, you're trying to tell the Giants fan base to have faith in things that they can't see. But with the things that we can see, like losing football, bad offensive play, bad defensive play, terrible special teams play from a guy who's supposed to be a special team specialist, we're not supposed to judge you on that, right? We're supposed to judge you on intangibles that we can't see with our own two eyes, that we're supposed to just believe you on. Hypotheticals, that things are going well in the locker room. He even had the nerve to say, ex-Giants players are calling me up every week telling me how much they miss the New York Giants.
That was the most puzzling thing that I took from that, obviously outside of the Washington football team shots. But that was the most puzzling thing that I was. Listen, I've heard a lot of funny things in press conferences, particularly here in Washington. Like Jay Gruden. I dealt with Jay Gruden and his press conferences for years. Okay, right. And Ron Rivera hasn't had his best press conference record either. But that was just weird.
All of that was during the 11 minutes of him answering that one question. And then he came back today or like yesterday, and he tried to clarify, when I'm on the podium, I'm pretty much talking to my team. They even had Ian Rappaport come out and speak for them, saying, Joe Judge was talking to the team here. He's not necessarily talking to the media. He uses the podium to address the team. So then they go today or yesterday, I believe it was. They asked DeVante Booker. They go, hey, so did you what's your response to what Joe Judge had to say at the podium in the press conference? You know what DeVante Booker said? He said, I ain't got a chance to check it out yet. Bruh, what? Y'all literally had the number 1 or number 2 media mogul as far as breaking reports come out and vouch for you guys that you're speaking towards the team, right? But then you got your lead running back as far as rushing yards go, your leader in rushing yards, come out and say, I haven't even had a chance to look at that press conference. It goes to show you that DeVante Booker's just as fed up with the press conferences as the Giants fan base is. And Joe Judge is clueless. He's clueless.
It's all right, I know, okay, the whole clown thing, right? And I'm trying to be respectful here. But it has become a circus now.
Big time.
And the thing is that, like, I don't know. Let me get to this super chat. Shout out to Tudo really fast.
Big shout out to Tudo.
For the $4.99 super chat says, Salute, Awthentik, drop by your office to pay our proper respects. And for Giants Nation, we slap all slimy, stinky Eagles fans. Let who the hers out of the doors. Shout out to Tudo.
Big shout out to Tudo, man. Don't forget, Tudo, laces out, brother. Laces out.
So,
one more quick little address on the chat real quick. Yes. Jameson. My man Jameson, okay? 1, if you're not first, you're last, okay? 2nd, you can learn this from the quarterback position. You got to be first in the building and last to leave. You can't be the first one in the building and also the first one to be like, all right, guys, good night. Can't keep doing this, Jameson. We're gonna need you. We're gonna need your commitment to the locker room here. All right, just got to keep it funky with you, Jameson.
If you would have been here the whole time, you would have seen we just passed out positions. Okay, we're handing out jerseys. We're putting together a team. Okay, I saw a lot of great communication between everybody in the chat talking about, okay, well, I'm gonna take wide receiver 1, and like telling us what they can and can't do. I love it. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We're putting together an Awthentik and the Beard football team.
Hey, when that content creator bowl pop up, I'm telling you, they don't want no smoke with Awthentik and the Beard. I really does this. I'm telling you. But yeah, man, this game, I mean, it's bad. It's really bad. This is the fewest attempts by a Giants offense since 1992. And 1992 was a whole different game. I was 9 years old back then. We weren't throwing the ball like we throw the ball nowadays. And Jeff Hostetler threw 9 passes. He completed 5. And guess what? The New York Giants actually went on to win that game. Okay? Against the Seattle Seahawks. The 4 completions from Mike Glennon was the least amount of completions from the Giants since 1978. And we won that game too, 17-6 against your Washington football team. So for me, man, this is all unacceptable. We're not talking about a rookie head coach now. It's the same thing like how I feel about Daniel Jones, okay? We can't keep giving these people these rookie passes, okay? Since Joe Judge has gotten here, the Giants are 32nd in points per game, 32nd in yards per game, 32nd in yards per play, 32nd in red zone efficiency.
Jesus.
If you don't know, there's 32 teams in the NFL. The last place you could get is 32.
Okay, so listen, I've been in this situation, right, where I'm like, you remember first season, second season. I mean, it was so bad that it went into 2 seasons. Remember how every week I was like, we got to fire Jay Gruden. Jay Gruden got to go. And when it finally happened, it was like a party, a celebration. It had its own thumbnail and everything. Giants Nation, right? There's no way, like, no matter how many excuses,
that's an awesome name in the chat, by the way. That's an awesome name. I'm sorry. Stephen White in the building. What's going on, fam? How you living?
There's no way when you just laid those numbers out, 32, 32, 32, 32, 32, like, what do you have as a reason, as a foundation, as a backbone to be like, I deserve to come back as your head coach?
Whew.
There's nothing, right?
There's nothing. There's nothing there, man. And the Giants are just bad, man. On Giant Overreaction, I highlighted one of the comments that was from Colin Coward, and he said the Giants just, like, get to awful the fastest of any team
Yeah,
in the
I
NFL. You
saw
get to the
that.
second quarter, and it's just like we're getting blown out. The
Second
Giants are
quarter?
30th right now.
3 minutes. 3
In this
minutes
game, it
into
was
the
3
game.
minutes. I mean, the first damn play. Your right tackle, there's a missed assignment. And this goes to what I've been saying about the coaching.
This is coaching,
problems.
right?
This is coaching because I talk about this for about the past 2 weeks. When you look at the front for the Giants, the offensive line, it's not like they're all getting beat up like Nate Solder and just getting thrown to the ground. And, it's like the program and we got Alvin Mack coming through the line. It's just like, yo, your mom was you was talking about my mom. I'm coming for the quarterback. Bloom, and just knocking everybody out of the way. This offensive line is failing when you throw stunts at them. These are assignments that they're missing. You seeing people just go completely unblocked like the first play of the game. And Joe Judge is talking about, we're going out there, we're preparing every week. We go to practice. My man, who's the defensive lineman he was from the Dallas Cowboys and he ended up coming over to the Giants, Chris Canty. He was talking about this. He said, when we was losing games and then after that, when we made our Super Bowl run, Coughlin was like, I will see y'all at practice on Monday. Joe Judge said, I'll see you guys on Wednesday and then on Thursday and then on Friday and then we'll see you and we'll be prepared for the game on Sunday. Why is a losing team like this with only 4 wins getting all these days off and then able to show up to practice on a Wednesday? Chris Canty said on Mondays we was in the building looking at film. On Tuesdays we was already back at practice. On Wednesday we implementing the game plan. Thursday we executing that game plan. Friday we going over the last minute things. Sunday we playing the game and we're executing. That's the difference between a Super Bowl winning coach and a coach who has no experience in the NFL and a special teams guy who can't even get the Giants special teams under wrap. If you really a special teams coach, why hasn't Riley Dixon been cut? This dude's been punting 30-yard punts. We were talking about Awthentik versus the Beard here, and I said, yo, the Beard's probably going to punt 30 yards, kick a 30-yard field goal. We got a guy who's getting paid millions of dollars. He can't even punt the ball past 35 yards. And you consider yourself to be a special teams coach, and you're not jumping on these things? Giants right now, 30th in first quarter points in the NFL. 2.3 points per first quarter on the year. They're averaging 99.6 rushing yards per game. That's 26. 194 passing yards a game. That's 28th. We talked about the red zone efficiency, but on top of the red zone efficiency being 32nd since Joe Judge has gotten here, we're 30th in red zone attempts. The Giants are averaging 2.3 red zone attempts per game. 29th in interceptions thrown per game, 22nd in fumbles per game. You're not going to win games like that. I saw somebody in the chat saying, you got to try to be this bad. And that's what it looks like. When the going gets tough, you got to go out there and get tough. You would, as a fan of this team, I would have loved to see Joe Judge. I'm not tripping off losing games, but I would have loved to just see him go out there and you see a team that's still fighting. I see players that are still fighting, but you do not see coaches that are implementing a game plan that is still working.
It's the way that the losing happens. You know what I'm saying? And I totally agree with what you're saying there because I think that's a really important point. And I think that's when coaching change is inevitable. When you just see, they say it and it's cliche because we don't know. And I hate when people assume, he's lost the locker room.
Oh, I hate when they say that about Ben McAdoo. I hate that one.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's just it's something that I don't like to touch on. But sometimes you can get that feeling, that vibe, just by the product that's on the field, the way that the coaches handle themselves in press conferences, the way that the sideline energy, things like that. That's just you can see. It's not like a rumor.
I don't think no one called a blowout. The Bears blowing out
nobody.
Anybody.
And I think we ask this question. I feel like every week, how bad can it get? What's worse?
You remember the headline of the last week's Giant Reaction?
Shout out to the
what was it?
Headline writing department. From bad to worse.
From bad to worse. And you know what I noticed, man? A lot of y'all fools on Twitter, y'all don't know the difference between worst and worse. I don't know what's going on with y'all. These young bucks, they don't know how to use worse and worst.
And I did bring this up for a reason. Heartstorm Media. The only reason we tried to hold on to Judge is to not become the Browns, Lions, or Raiders switching coaches every year. And I think that that's true also. I think that there's a little bit of a pride issue with upper management and Joe Judge and this coaching staff. And I think
sometimes you got to break the cliche, bro.
Yeah, 100%.
You got to break the cliche, and it makes me think about the Arizona Cardinals. Everybody knows what they did at the quarterback position with Josh Rosen. You use a top 5 draft pick or whatever it was. I think Josh Rosen was a top 10 pick, right? As soon as they realized he wasn't the guy, this is the crazy part. Not only was he up out of here, whoever that coach was that was with him, they fired him too, right?
They got rid of the coach before they got rid of Rosen. They brought in Cliff Kingsbury, and Kingsbury was like, I don't want this guy. I need my guy.
I need my
guy. And
guy.
then they drafted Kyle Murray, and then the rest is history. Now
with Cliff Kingsbury,
Cardinals.
Was he there for that rookie campaign of Josh Rosen?
No.
He wasn't. The other coach was there, and then he got fired. So, so this, to me, that's a bit of a cliche, too. It's like, I know a lot of Giants fans, they're going around saying, it's like, we don't want to turn into the Browns. You can't keep firing every coach.
Sometimes you got to cut it. You got to cut it.
If it ain't right, nip it in the bud.
Right.
Don't just let it go for a couple more years to just, save face.
That's what happened with Washington. We let that Jay Gruden thing go and the Bruce Allen thing go for so long where it was just debacle after debacle after debacle. And eventually, by trying to hold on to something that's not there, you hurt yourself more in the long term.
I was literally going to say the exact same thing. Like, in the long run, you're just ruining your franchise. You're digging yourself a deeper hole. I feel like people, and this is the same argument for Daniel Jones. People are like, well, who's going to come in and be better? At this point, it don't matter. You cannot just hang your hat on an average quarterback and go, well, we don't know if we can have better, so we're going to keep that guy. You got to start trying to troubleshoot. And in my profession, when things go wrong, you got to start troubleshooting immediately. You don't just go, oh, that problem's not bad enough for me to try to address it. You got to address everything here. So for the people that are like, let's go double dip in offensive line and try to rebuild this line and then go get our quarterback in 2023, here's the problem with that. When you get this offensive line or you draft 2 linemen in the first round, and let's say it goes the way you want it to go, you get 2 day 1 starters out of the first round for your offensive line, and the offensive line goes from, let's say, 32nd to maybe like 20th. That's going to yield better for the offense and maybe for the team where we have a better record. Now you enter 2023 draft, you don't got the same position that you're in right now where you're sitting on 2 top 10 draft picks. You might be picking 14th, 15th. You luck around and get into the playoffs when the NFC East is bad. Let's say Dak Prescott gets hurt and somebody like the Giants or the Washington football team is going to have to take that playoff spot. You could maybe get in at 7 and 9. We saw that with the Washington football team. And what does that do for your draft position? Now you draft in 18 or later. What quarterback you going to get at 18? You're going to be right back in the same situation you're in right now. If the Giants see the quarterback in this draft, if you like Malik Willis, if you like Kenny Pickett, if you like this kid Corral, go out there and get him. You don't know if you're going to be in this situation again to be able to draft another quarterback. And this is the thing. I'm not saying you go out there and draft a quarterback and implement him right into the lineup immediately and make him a day 1 starter. You keep that leash with Daniel Jones on 1 more year because Daniel Jones will be entering his 4th year. You don't give him the 5th-year option. You allow this young quarterback to learn underneath Daniel Jones until it's time to put him in the damn game. And maybe you're a bad team. Who cares? Maybe you're a bad team. Who cares? But at least you got a system developed now, and you're not bringing in a rookie quarterback into an incredible amount of turmoil where you're thrusting him into the same position that you did with Daniel Jones, where you should have just let Eli finish out and let Daniel Jones sit the bench and learn. And maybe, just maybe, Daniel Jones would have been ready for this spotlight if that was the case. Instead, you got a kid who's shot. Daniel Jones is out there shot. When they talked about Sam Darnold seeing ghost, that's Daniel Jones right now seeing ghost. And look at the stats from Sam Darnold's first 3 seasons. They're parallel to they might even be better than what Daniel Jones has put on paper as far as statistics go. So for me, don't just go out here and make the same exact mistake you did. I was one of those people that was on board for the mistakes that the Giants made last season. I was like, you know it. I talked about it all last year. Go out there and get that kid some weapons. Prove to us that he is the guy, because y'all in the organization, everyone in the Giants locker room, they're all saying, oh, we all got great faith in Daniel Jones, Dave Gettleman. He's our guy. I don't know if you don't see it. I don't know what you're not seeing. He's the guy. He's the guy. He's the guy. But then they go out there and implement game plans that show you they have no faith in Daniel Jones week in and week out. So actions speak louder than words. You could tell me Daniel Jones is the guy all you want, but when you go out there and you see a game plan against the Raiders where Daniel Jones throws the ball about 20 times for 100 yards, and you're implementing these safe game plans, not allowing Daniel Jones to actually just go out there and just wing it, it tells me you don't have faith in the kid. So if you see the quarterback in this draft in the first round, You might not be in this position ever again to draft a quarterback this early. Go get the damn quarterback. Let him sit the bench and develop. If he shows you that, hey, he's Russell Wilson, nobody thought Russell Wilson was going to be Russell Wilson before that happened. They went out there and spent a buku amount of money on Matt Flynn. At least their coaching staff was smart enough to go, yo, that's not the guy.
Yeah.
This guy on the bench is the guy. Let's start this guy. And Russell Wilson didn't have a losing season up until this season here where he was dealing with injuries. Or go out there and go get Russell Wilson. Spend the draft capital. If you don't want to rebuild the New York Giants and you that impatient, then go spend the money. X off that quarterback position is one of the problems on this team. So that way you can look to the future to build that offensive line and build your defensive line. Get the edge rusher that you want. Start building a team because right now you could even see it in this game against the Chicago Bears. At least they got an identity where they can say, hey, man, hand that ball to David Montgomery 20 times. Make sure we get a lot of targets to Darnell Mooney. It don't matter who's at quarterback. At least we got that foundation of a team to be able to rely on. And defensively, they got guys. Shout out to Quinn, who broke the record from Dent. 18 sacks on the season. You know, so they have pieces on the defense. The Giants aren't that team, bro. The Giants, there is no identity. There's no position that you go, man, that's locked up. And some people will say, oh, left tackle's locked up. Man, let us get somebody in here who's a dominant beast of a left tackle. You can move Andrew Thomas to right tackle.
Right tackle.
Yeah.
Solve two problems with one person. You know what I'm saying?
You literally could do that.
Big shout out to for the $4.99 super chat. Says rugby is a different sport, but we've been implementing all of Coach Coughlin's disciplinary team rules and philosophy to win games. Finish. Shout out to Tuto.
Big shout out to homie Tuto one time, man. We missed you on Giant Overreaction, Tuto. Appreciate you pulling up, man, and showing some support here, man. And, you know, just a little bit more on the quarterback thing. You know, I see Stephen White in the chat saying, you know, you can get the quarterback killed, right? Of course, this is true. But every rookie quarterback or every first-year starting quarterback, you had to take your lumps, man. You had to get out here and take these lumps. And I'm not saying you start the rookie off the bat. You can build this offensive line and still draft a quarterback. The Giants have 10 damn picks in this draft. 10 picks, man. If you can't spend 10 picks and build a foundation, take 9 of them to build a foundation for your offensive line, then you don't deserve to be here. I'm sorry. You don't deserve to be here. We got 2 first-round picks. You could trade back. You might even be able to luck up and get a guy like Malik Willis late in the first round. You could probably trade for one of these teams that's desperate at the quarterback position, trade your higher first-round pick for another first-round pick that's later in the draft. You might luck up and get like a number 10 pick and like a number 15, 16, 17 pick, still be able to get Malik Willis and be able to get 2 offensive linemen in this draft, 3 offensive linemen, 4 offensive linemen. It does not take 4 seasons to rebuild an offensive line, man. Look at the Chargers. I've been breaking this down for 2 damn weeks here, man. Look at the Chargers. They have 5 new starters on that offensive line. They didn't go out there and spend all their draft capital on offensive linemen. They drafted one stud. He went out there. He played the left tackle. He's been healthy all year. He's been one of the best left tackles in the damn league. And all these other guys, they got a guy in there not even making $1 million on that roster on that offensive line. 2 of them were backups on the team last year. You can hide things.
That's coaching.
That's coaching. And this the other thing, too, is don't forget we're going to have a new offensive coordinator with a whole new offensive philosophy and a whole new scheme here, okay? You don't need studs at every position. And unfortunately for most of the Giants fans here who are still on board with Daniel Jones, they've blurred you into thinking that a quarterback somehow needs like 5 studs on the offensive line to get things done. Joe Burrow's got 50-plus sacks on the season. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. The Beard brought this to my attention. Highest completion percentage in the league right now. He's top 5 in passing yards, and he's top 5 in touchdowns. He's 6 in touchdowns. So you're looking at a top 6 quarterback, hands down, in the NFL with one of the worst offensive lines in the league. Why? Because that scheme finds ways to get the ball out of his hands quick if he's not taking a sack. And they got playmakers on the outside making plays for them. They got 2 wide receivers over there over 1,000 yards. And here we are. We got wide receivers. Our max wide receiver sitting at about 500 yards. This scheme is broken.
Jamar Chase has more receiving yards in 2 games than the New York Giants' #1 receiver all season.
That can't be a thing. And I talked about this with Davis Mills. You got Davis Mills over there with the Texans. He has not even played a whole full season. He's finding ways to get the ball to Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks, a 1,000-yard receiver right now with 5-6 touchdowns on the year. What is it? It's got to be a scheme thing. It's got to be a scheme thing. It's got to be a coaching thing. I'm sorry. Hiring a guy at head coach who has no experience is, I want to really curse when I say this. It's effing stupid, bro. It's stupid. And I was one of the people that was saying, go out there and get Mike McCarthy, and Giants fans was looking at me like, that's stupid, that's stupid. But y'all take a head coach who has no head coaching experience on no level of football. I don't think Joe Judge has ever been a head coach on no level of football.
It's like asking the stewardess on the airplane to fly the airplane.
Bro, that's like getting the dude on the fries to come in and be the owner of McDonald's, man. What are we doing? What are we doing? And if I just want things to kind of get worse in this last game. I want Washington to come out here and just blow out the New York Giants because Joe Judge can't be the guy next year, or we're going to be waiting on another season of mediocre. You can't even call this mediocre football. This is pathetic football.
It is. And big shout out to Tuto for the $4.99 super chat. Says all bad owners hire bad GMs hire bad head coaches bring in all high paid garbage players who can't get anything done. Also, Tuto
gave me the also
for the $4.99 says very easy to fix all New York Giants problems and dilemmas. All we need is 53 picks on the next draft and an average head coach who ain't a clown.
Now, I want to respond to the first one that Tuto put up. And Tuto, he's been speaking on that for about at least 8 weeks here on Awthentik and the Beard about, the GM, the bad GM hires the bad owner hires the bad GM hires the bad coach, yeah, the rest, sets up the bad game plans, right? Now, we were talking about this earlier on Twitter and on Tim Online Big Blues channel a little bit here too. Is like, who's more at fault here, right? And I compared it to this, right? If John Mara's not a football know-it-all, okay? He's got some football experience, right? So the way I look at it is like this. You need a job done. I use the gutters. You need your gutters cleaned, right? You hop on the Yelp. And even though the Yelp review says 2-star review, shout out my homie Stan Albert in the chat. We was talking about this on Twitter, right? The Yelp review says 2-star review, but he was recommended by the Beard. The Beard told me, yo, the dude, all right, man. But I'm seeing these reviews, 2 stars. I go, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to have a 2-star dude come clean my gutters, okay? He comes, he does the job. When he leaves, the gutters still look jacked up. I got plants and roots growing out of my gutters still. Now, there's a portion of that falls on me for not being able to do the correct research to find the right guy that I hired to come in and clean my gutters. But at the end of the day, it's more on the person who was hired for the job that them gutters ain't cleaned. It's on you. So for me, I got to look at this one like the head coach. I feel like the owner, Mara, he went out there, he did some bad research on Yelp, right? Hires Dave Gettleman. Dave Gettleman has a guy named Joe Judge working on his home improvement. He's working in his home improvement department here, okay? And he sent that guy out there to go do the job. And that guy's not getting the job done. So for me, not only do I got to fire the head coach, I got to fire also the guy who's the company that went to go do it, that represents the company. And for me, that's Dave Gettleman. Both of them need to get fired. They have both done a terrible job. But I do feel like this. Joe Judge has done a worse job than Dave Gettleman. I was listening to Mike Too Nice and Entertainer Talking Sports. They got a new podcast together, and I was in their chat listening to them, and I asked them about this. And I said, who you think's more to blame? And they both said, hands down, Dave Gettleman. The reason why, for me, it's not Dave Gettleman is because I was okay with some of these roster moves throughout his whole tenure. I'm looking at it like James Bradbury, Blake Martinez, Logan Ryan. I'm looking at guys like Isaac Yadam. We go out there and get Galladay. You go out there and you trade back in the draft. You got Andrew Thomas. You're doing some things. I'm like, man, this Adoree Jackson. This roster looking like we could do some things. You get out there for the regular season, this offense can't score no points. Same story. I think Joe Judge is the more common denominator 100%. With these problems with the New York Giants than it is Dave Gettleman. Most people signed off on all these moves from Dave Gettleman. The one thing that Dave Gettleman completely screwed up on, and this goes back all the way to the first episode of Awthentik and the Beard, them hog mollies.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't get them hog mollies. He said, I'm going to go out here and get you them hog mollies. It's going to start here on this offensive line. We're going to rebuild the offensive line. And that is the thing that looks the worst on the New York Giants. So he deserves blame too. But for me, the head coach out there, he's not getting the job done. Why do you hire a guy that's not a mastermind on either side of the ball is so puzzling to me.
They botched it.
They botched it. They botched it.
They botched it. I mean, listen, and we knew that there was a possibility, right? Because when Joe Judge was named the head coach, we watched a lot of football, right? Joe Judge was not on nobody's radar. Nobody was talking about this Joe Judge guy, like it's not like it's Eric Bieniemy where everybody's talking about him as a head coach or even a Joe Brady, who just Joe Judge was out of left field, and he should have been playing in right field because everybody knows you put your weakest player in right field.
You definitely do.
And that's just how it's boiled down to this. Like to me, that last portion of this conversation is kind of the most important because you look at Dave Gettleman's moves, and we talked about this, early on in this season, where we're like, okay, and that's why we thought the Giants were going to be where they aren't right now because we thought these moves were going to put them over the top. Now Gettleman has given the pieces, the weapons, right? And this is kind of even goes with Dale Jones, where it's like you've got all the weapons, right? But if you're not calling the right number and letter, them weapons is dropping in the ocean and not on the opponent's battleship. There is a big problem here. And the problem is obviously the coaching staff. And it's unfortunate because there's a lot of people that are going to be taking the downfall if Joe Judge doesn't get relieved of his duties at the end of the season. Listen, this Washington-New York Giants game, right? It might be a laughing game or it has no meaning to some people. But let me tell you, neither one of these teams wants to lose to the other team because imagine if Washington loses to the Giants after the way that the Giants have been playing. Now imagine if the Giants get blown out again by Washington.
Now that's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy.
There's no coming back from that. If there is, then there's a problem. Like, because I mean, there's been times before where you're just like, I keep bringing it back to Gruden, where it's just like I would come in that week and I'd be like, "This is it, guys. There's no way he keeps his job after this." My man was sitting out on the curb, drunk, smoking cigarettes with girls.
Yeah, that was that was still an all-time low. That was an all-time low.
No problem.
Shout out my homie Zach one time in the building, man. He says, if there was a content creator bowl, what are you listing your position at? Wide receiver all day, unless we ain't got a quarterback. If we ain't got a quarterback, I'll step up and play the quarterback position. But if there's somebody out there that can sling it, I'm telling, ain't nobody out here checking me. I don't care where. I don't care if it's somebody creating content that used to be in the league. I'm cooking burners all day, confident. I'm telling you, I'm ready for it. But
throw me the ball.
To get all these people in one place for the content creator bowl is definitely going to be tough. We going to see. And shout out to the homie Stephen White, who says the game is won and lost on the line. You hear the cliche a lot. The game is won in the trenches for sure. I do agree with you. The trenches are important. Them other players are more important, though. To have a quarterback like a Joe Burrow is more important than the trenches. You got to address it. I mean, I'm with you.
You have players like that. What it does is it allows you to play competitively at a high level while trying to address those other areas of need.
Right.
When you don't have those players in those other positions, it magnifies the weaknesses that you have without being able to address them immediately. That's the big difference. Big shout out to Tuto for the $4.99 super chat. Says, don't matter who you bring in as GM, head coach, or quarterback, as long as moron Mara fam manipulate and enforce their own opinions, season is always dead. Shout out to Tudo.
Shout out to Tudo. Definitely shout out to Tudo, man. I mean, we did win, a couple Super Bowls. We did win a couple of Super Bowls, man. Sometimes you got to be able to overcome those deficiencies, man. And if the boss is the worst, we got to find a way. Sometimes getting the right players on the field, they can overcome these things. And that's what I'm waiting on. I'm waiting for the right players, and I'm waiting for the right coach and offensive coordinator. If Joe Judge is going to be the coach moving forward, whoever lands in this offensive coordinator position is so important. It's so important to bring in a philosophy that's going to be able to put up points on the board, or at least move the sticks and be able to gain yards, because these last 2 weeks here, man, this is very, very, very pathetic. And shout out to homie Hefe one time too, man. He says, I'm your mobile quarterback, bro. That's what's up. So I'm holding you to that, Hefe. We got our quarterback. You got your duo at wide receiver. You got your 1A, 1B at wide receiver right here. I promise you. That's what the A and the B is for in Awthentik and the Beard, is 1A, 1B wide receiver. I'm out here making plays, bro. I'm out here making plays. But shout out to Hefe. Y'all make sure to go subscribe to Hefe too, man. He's building up his new YouTube channel. I think he's about 17 weeks now in with the hilarious content he's been releasing on Twitter. I love those videos, man. I always try to retweet those as much as I can. A little bit of laughter, while we cry later. We can laugh now a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
6.5 points right now is the spread. Washington's favored by 6.5. Early spread.
6.5. Y'all are falling apart too, man. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that.
We're literally falling apart. Not just
y'all
on the
falling
field,
apart. I felt it
stands.
in that fourth quarter in that game. I was like, nah, this ain't happening. They ain't winning this game.
Are we going to talk about that now? Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's take a quick little commercial break, man. Let's show that FanFest video one more time for the 2021 season. One more good time. And don't forget, I remember y'all was out there running them laps at FanFest, man. I looked at them like, nah, cuz I'm not running no laps, breaking a sweat in 90-degree weather for that man, Joe Judge. We thought it was cool in the offseason. 4 wins later, 12 losses later, things aren't feeling the same. We're going to take this quick commercial break. We'll get right back to y'all.
It looks like they want to try out for quarterback.
Oh, I mean, you're going to have to beat out Hefe.
FanFest.
Shout out to everybody that was involved in the making of that FanFest video back in August when our hopes was super high. I'm talking about Method Man, Redman high. We was hype. Playoffs! Nah, cuz you're going to be watching the playoffs at home, man. Take a seat on this bench one time.
Man, I remember when I watched that video for the first time, and I was just like, oh, my God, football. Like, I was like,
are actually going to make it to the playoffs.
Man, it is crazy to think about where things are from there to now.
Rachel said that felt like 10 years ago. Damn, yo. Giants in straight struggle mode, man. Straight struggle mode, man. But let's get to your Washington football teamers who announced the new name. Didn't announce the actual name, but they said, hey, we got the name. We're giving it to you. 2/2/22 is the date. If you're familiar with Awthentik and the albums I have dropped, I try to be dropping my albums on dates like that. Nothing More, Nothing Less was dropped on 1/11. And I tried to drop the last one on 11/11, but things didn't get to that point, and I ended up dropping it in May. So you know how that goes. But the Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Washington football team 20-16 to improve to 9-7. The Philadelphia Eagles are 9-7 on the season. With the loss, Washington is officially eliminated from playoff contention. Washington began the game in impressive fashion, marching down the field and scoring on an 11-yard Jarrett Patterson touchdown to cap off an impressive 6-play, 67-yard drive with Taylor Heineke at quarterback. Unfortunately for the Washington football team, that was the high point of its offensive day. Washington would kick 3 field goals in the first half to go into halftime with a 16-7 lead. Much like their first meeting, the Eagles dominated the second half, scoring 13 points en route to a hard-fought win. I'm telling you, man, I tweeted this out in the middle of the game. Around the third quarter, I said, this one ain't feeling good. I got a feeling. I know the Beard normally got his feelings. I said, I got a feeling that they're going to fall apart here in the second half. It just feels like Washington really don't want it. And I don't know if you guys had the same kind of like crumble that we had where it's like you could blame it on the coaches. To me, it kind of looked like y'all players are kind of giving up. I don't ever like to say lack of effort, but it did look like, this was one of those games where Taylor Heineke just didn't have that pep in his step. I'm usually confident in Taylor Heineke to get those conversions late in the game. You get that late interception on his last throw of the game, and that's all she wrote right there. Jarrett Patterson filled in really nice for Antonio Gibson on the day. He had 57 rushing yards, and he also had 41 receiving yards on the day as well. I thought y'all defense played a pretty decent game, held the Eagles to 330 total yards and only 3.5 yards per carry, which that's very low for the Philadelphia Eagles, who were the number 1 rushing offense in the NFL. I don't know if y'all played well enough to win on defense. Your front was getting to the quarterback a good bit, but only sacked Hurts one time on the day, which that's not enough for a guy like Jalen Hurts. You got to keep him in the pocket. Washington, surprisingly, 9 of 15 is out. That looked like a damn typo on third down. Washington, 9 of 15. Philadelphia, 4 of 12. And the time of possession battle was fairly equal. Washington, 27 minutes, 51 seconds. And Philadelphia, 32 minutes, 9 seconds. Washington was 1 for 3 in the red zone. Philadelphia was 2 of 2 in the red zone. And Washington had 22 rushes for 94 yards. That does not yield well for the roadmap. Philadelphia had 34 rushes for 118 yards. Washington had more first downs than the Philadelphia Eagles by 6. 24 first downs to the Philadelphia Eagles, 18 first downs. And Jalen Hurts played a pretty clean day, or clean game on the day. 17 of 26 for 214 yards. No touchdowns through the air. No interceptions. He had 7 rushes for 44 yards. And Boston Scott, talked about him on the parlay, man. Boston Scott is a guy. He is a great fill-in running back when you got somebody who goes down with an injury. The New York Giants need to make a move like that. I thought Clement was going to be that guy for us this year. We ended up cutting him, seeing him with the Dallas Cowboys, doing a couple little things. But Boston Scott, 14 carries, 47 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 receptions, 39 yards, and Jordan Howard added the 11 carries for 26 yards. The Beard, I got some more stats, some more nuggets here, but what went wrong on the road? Was this game on the road as well?
No.
It wasn't on the road. I was going to try to get, 2 birds, 1 stone there with the road and the road map. That didn't work out too well. But what went wrong on the road map for the Washington football team?
Well, they want me to create a road map for the end of the road for Joe Judge. That has been the request on Twitter. So
shout out Boys to Men.
We will play Boys to Men on Thursday's episode. So big shout out to Tuto for the $4.99 super chat. Says New York Giants won Super Bowls because Coach Coughlin never listened to Moron Mara, and he did his own things to win every possible game regardless.
This is facts.
Now,
this is facts.
Speaking of winning football games, I mean, look, we had a lot of guys out, but every team has a lot of guys out. But, I mean, we are literally on, 4/5 stringers in some positions. And this game, when you read off all the stats, you would think this was a winnable game, and it's kind of hard to find, it's not as easy as -10 passing yards, right? But the big thing in this game is we didn't make the plays. The railing went wrong. Yes. I mean, listen, Washington's getting a new name. They need a new home because, I mean, you got poop water coming out the ceilings.
That video, that railing falling. First off, Jalen Hurts, dog. That man is David Blaine. He just pulled a magic trick and just appeared on the side of the gate. And then the fans get up off the ground, and you literally still see a photographer piled on by the gate and a couple other people, and Jalen Hurts is just right there with them 2 young fans
And so listen, that's the
Instagram,
thing
baby.
that gets me. They're talking about they needed medical attention. Man, they got up and they were fine. They were taking
Yo,
pictures.
did you see the photographer though?
I didn't see that guy. I saw
Look, the photographer. I wish y'all could see my feet, but I kind of wish y'all couldn't see my feet too because I'm a little bit business up top, but I'm like pajamas down low for sure. I've been doing that every podcast. Y'all ain't know, now you know. But the gate fell on the photographer. I'm a photographer as well. I know about camera gear. He was shooting with a Canon. He also had a telephoto Canon lens. Them joints cost about a good 10 stacks, that lens he had. His leg got trapped when the gate fell on him. He booted a fan, bro. I don't know if you saw that boot.
No, I didn't see that.
He booted one of the fans like, yo, man.
He gave him a little Dennis Rodman joke.
Gave him a little Dennis Rodman. Yeah, dog. Gave him that kick like, dog, get up off me, man. So I don't know. Maybe that photographer might have a little lawsuit here. You know, Jalen Hurts wrote a letter to the Washington football team today, too.
That just seemed a little like a punch. That was a little blow.
I liked it. It's good.
I kind of did, too. But anyway.
He was like, he said, even though, I looked like I was calm and composed and whatnot, this is a very serious situation here. I like that. It's a good answer.
I want to give a big shout out to my man on Twitter, Wole. He has, I hope I said that properly, but he has started the official hashtag Fire Scott Turner.
I think it's now look, what's homie's name? Wole. Shout out to Wale. Wale, that's my name. Don't forget it. Okay. Now that's not that creative of a hashtag though.
It's time though.
It's definitely time, but you gave him you gave him the platform, you gave him his 15 seconds of fame here.
He got a YouTube channel too.
Fire Scott Turner.
Fire Scott Turner, man. Listen,
I need some more than that.
there's a problem, man. Like the first half, you read the stats, you put where we were at, right? Second half, what happens? Do you know how many total yards the Washington football team had in the second half before the last drive of the game?
I don't. Let me take a guess. I'm going to say 64 yards.
Less.
Ooh, 42.
Less.
Give me one more. 28.
Higher.
Dang.
34
right, I just needed one more.
Yards.
34
yards before the last drive. I listen, I know I preach to run the ball, right? Okay, I understand. But listen, when you are up on the team and you're supposed to be losing, you got to control the ball. And Taylor Heineke, he is a blessing and he's a curse. That's just the fact of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, you know how it be. Like, it's like Cinderella and the clock struck midnight and the carriage turned to a pumpkin or wherever how the story goes. That's what happened to Taylor Heineke because he was taking sacks on third down that he just couldn't take. I mean, it's just... The difference was the Eagles made big plays when they needed to, and Washington didn't.
Yeah,
it's just we don't have the big play guys.
Right.
Like Terry McLaurin is a guy, but what good is Terry McLaurin if you can't get him the ball? There was a third downs and fourth downs. This is what bothers me most too. Is like you have to get to third down. Yes, T2 Bear 09. You can talk in the chat on Twitch. Shout out to you. Thank you for holding us down on Twitch.
Yes. Yep. The chat does work on Twitch. Appreciate you pulling up T2 Bear 09.
But you can't call plays on third down and fourth down that are short of the marker. Like,
okay, now I'm a little indifferent on this. Because with the New York Giants, we talked about this a ton because the comeback routes and the out routes, stick routes, all of that. I'm not one that is for you always have to run the route past the sticks on third and 5. The route got to go 6.
Third down, okay. I understand that. But fourth down?
Fourth down, it depends, man. Like there are certain like pick plays that you could throw it in front of the sticks and still give your wide receiver an advantage to try to get that first down. Like for instance, 4th and 2. If the Giants were to run a stop route to Kadarius Toney, I'm not mad. But I understand why fans are mad at stuff like that because you want the route to go beyond the sticks. I get it. You want the chance to be when your guy catches the ball, he's beyond the sticks. But this is the NFL, and you're looking for,
somebody to make
leverage,
a play, right?
Leverage in the matchup in a way, and then somebody to make the play.
Yeah, but we don't have those guys. So that's what I'm
Facts.
talking about is we're like, if you don't have those guys, Scott Turner's problem is that he is calling a game plan as if there are people that are playing the position aren't the people that are actually playing the position. That's what
Yeah.
his big problem is. And like, it's become super frustrating. Obviously, because for me, I saw what was working. Like, I felt like we had created an identity on that 4-game winning streak, and
For
it was
sure.
working.
Running the ball.
And it's just like, you see Jared Patterson in the beginning, in the first half, having a great first half, scores a touchdown. They're working him out of the backfield like McKissick, but he's running the ball like Gibson when he's getting the handoffs. Second
Man,
half,
McKissick is a big reason why y'all just ain't working right now.
yeah, I mean,
He was that other weapon that y'all had.
Yeah, and obviously our linebacker positions too. You know, because Goddard, besides Boston Scott, Goddard was the other guy that was killing us. 6 catches, 71 yards.
Yeah.
And big catch after
And
big
moments
catch
too.
after big catch. Third, and there was at one point they converted a 3rd and 17. And on 4th down, your defense has got to stand up and make a play. Do you know what Philly was on the day on 4th downs?
3 or 3?
3 or 4 on 4th down.
3 or 4.
Scored a touchdown on 4th down.
Yeah, that's tough.
It's just there's so many, and then in the red zone again. You know how you understand. Look
Big
at the
facts.
Giants in Washington all season long. We have been the 2 worst teams in the red zone.
Yeah.
And again in this game, 1 of 3 in the red zone.
It's not going to get it done.
How do you expect you're literally fighting for a chance to stay alive in the playoffs? And that was one reason why I was kind of like holding on, because I saw what this team did last year under this coaching staff when their back was against the wall. And they never gave up the fight. And it just, I think eventually the level of talent caught up to us. Like, you can only play off the magic beans for so long. Eventually,
do you think that straps the offensive coordinator? Do you think that could be a bit of the reason why his game plans have been falling short?
And so this is kind of like what I got into the discussion with on Twitter was about how it's difficult to assess an offensive. You kind of like have to assess an offensive coordinator like how you do a quarterback sometimes. Okay, so it's like this guy Scott Turner has had the worst quarterback situation for 2 years. Think about it. How many quarterbacks have played quarterback for the Washington football team in the last 2 years?
About a good 5, maybe 4
6,
5.
7.
Because you had Haskins, Allen, Heineke,
McCoy.
Alex
Did
Smith.
McCoy play quarterback at one time last year?
No, not in 2 years. No, because McCoy was with us in
that was
2020.
3 years ago.
And I feel like there's one more we missing though. There might be one more we missing.
Oh, Gilbert Grape.
Oh yeah, Gilbert got the start this year. Yup. So you're looking at 5 quarterbacks.
And none of those quarterbacks are, let's be perfectly honest, are starting quarterbacks in the National Football League, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult because Taylor Hunt, just like I told you before, you either got a franchise quarterback or you got a quarterback that needs the running game. Taylor Heineke can get it done when he has a running game, but as soon as you take that away from him, he's a below average quarterback.
Exactly, and so like that's where it's like it's hard to balance out the assessment, because it's like, okay, so maybe he doesn't necessarily have the personnel in order to run his offense, right? If you don't have the personnel to run your offense, then you need to run your offense based on the personnel you have, a la a running game with Taylor
have been really
Heineke.
ruining y'all, down this stretch here. And I think y'all did get a little bit lucky there, with the winning streak for sure. I mean, you beat the Bucs. You took care of the Carolina Panthers in a game where Cam Newton played well enough to win it. It came down to the last drive for the Panthers, and I think it kind of it built up a little bit of false sense of confidence for the fan base of the Washington football team, because I told you this maybe 4 weeks ago. I didn't think Philly or Washington were of the caliber of the kind of team that should be in the playoffs. Now, Philly has gone on to prove that a little bit more, but somebody brought this up to me about Philadelphia either on the last stream or it was on Twitter. You look at the teams that they have beat no playoff teams. They've beat barely any teams over 500. Every win that they have on their schedule is against a bunch of bum teams like the Giants, like teams like the Washington football team, Jets. You know, they beat a bunch of average teams. So I think, you know, I did say earlier in the show that I thought that the Philadelphia Eagles have the capability to beat anybody, but that's when they're playing their best football. Their typical traditional football is not that great right now, and they're not a great team. But I just think that between the Eagles and Washington, they showed y'all that they're the better team personnel-wise more than coaching goes, to me. You know, they showed you that they got guys like when Miles Sanders goes down, they got a guy like Boston Scott who can just come in.
I knew it.
You knew it. You knew he was going to come in and have a big game. You just knew it.
Because,
you know,
those are the type of players that give us problems because of our personnel at the linebacker position.
Yeah.
You know, like, we're not built at the linebacker position right now to be able to guard the tight end, guard the pass-catching running back, defend against a mobile quarterback. Jalen Hurts didn't have a huge day running the ball, but when it was very similar to Kyler Murray. When they needed the first down and he was under distress, it was like easy for him to get the first down, to scramble for that first down. Obviously, we didn't have Montez Sweat. You know, Chase Young's been out.
Right.
Landon Collins, who completely turned his season around.
And career, right.
When he started playing the Buffalo nickel, and it just – you lose all that. William Jackson, you know, I had a rough go at it in the beginning of the year, but came on strong at the end of the year.
Is that what people are Is that what people are saying now about where they're playing Landon Collins? They're comparing it to the Buffalo nickel.
Yeah.
You remember last year when we were in the playoffs, I was talking about Tyron Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
That's the dude who plays the nickel position, that like money backer position in Buffalo. Dude's a beast. He's a straight beast. He can make tackles like he's a linebacker, and he can cover people like he's a defensive back, which is a great way to use somebody who's a hybrid kind of player like that in the secondary. Shout out to T2 Bear 09 one time. He says Taylor needs more than the running game. He needs a defense as well, and that's a good point too. Washington has to have that balance on their team. Defense playing well, running game clicking to be able to control the clock, keep quarterbacks on the sidelines, and be able to put Taylor Heineke in position to win.
And that's what helps. If you look at it too, our defense has played its best games when our running game has been at its best.
Facts.
Because what it does is it just, when you have your defense, and especially in the second half, and you see that when you go out for a three plays -5 yards, 4 plays 6 yards, 5 plays 12 yards. Those are your 3 possessions. By the time that at that point in the second half, your defense is worn out. Not even to mention in the fact that you're down so many players, you can't even rotate your defense. A lot of people don't realize how much rotation goes on during a game defensively.
That's facts. That's definitely facts. And you know what I wanted to piggyback off that is like, we place so much emphasis on the wide receiver position, you know, and the running back has been devalued a bit now, right? Everybody kind of is going off the stipulation that running backs are replaceable, you know, and you can find running backs anywhere. But when you see a game plan and a roster like the Washington football team, it lets you know that the weapons are not the most important thing when it comes to the wide receiver position. You definitely need a guy like Terry McLaurin to be able to keep safeties honest, right? But the running backs are so much more important. Look at what Mac Jones is doing over there with the Patriots. They're not doing that with no flashy wide receiver core. You know, look at what Kyle Shanahan is doing with San Francisco.
The dude who caught 2 touchdowns for them this year was been on the practice squad all year.
Yeah,
he went out there and caught
it'd
2
be like that.
touchdowns
Check your Ableton real quick. It'd be like that, you know. So for me, the whole year I talked about what the New York Giants needed to do at the running back position with Saquon Barkley coming back, not 100% healthy. You got to go out there and have at least 3 running backs that are going to work. So when somebody gets hurt, and how many times did I talk about the extension of the season into 17 games might even make you want to assess the quarterback position more now. The value of a backup quarterback is going to skyrocket now with an extra game on the season. It should have been a priority for teams already, and we're seeing that now when you got a guy like, oh my God, especially in the COVID era, we're in the middle of a pandemic where you know players are not going to be able to make the game because of COVID. But in somehow, some way, these GMs are not addressing the depth of a depth chart. It's so simple to me that you need more running backs.
You're giving extra spots this year. You were literally
giving the extra
giving
spots to
extra
do it.
spots.
And where are those going? When you look at the Giants, they're going to guys on special teams. You're going to carry a guy on special teams to not carry another running back, not carry another quarterback. It really don't make sense.
This was literally, if you remember, in the beginning of the season, like one of my first like rants was when we cut my man Jimmy Moreland.
Oh yeah,
and kept Troy Apke to play special teams.
Yeah,
like I just like.
And Troy Apke, I randomly saw his combine, his 40 time. Randomly. It just came across my YouTube,
what
right?
Was it, like a 4.8, 4.9, something like that?
My man was flying.
Really?
I don't know the exact. Somebody should look that up in the chat for me real quick. Listen, Dion was on the panel with Rich Eisen, and he stopped talking. They were like, you know how during Combine they be talking about some whole other stuff while people are running. He's just like, yeah, he saw Apke shoot out the gate. He said, oh, that boy fast. He said, Dion said, if I say what I want to say, it'll sound politically incorrect, but you know what I want to say. And what he really wanted to say was, it's a fast Caucasian man. That white boy running, right? So I kind of see why they wanted to try to, develop Troy Apke, because he's fast. But, like, at the end of the day, it's like, now you're taking away a great roster spot for a guy that you could supplement somebody on special teams, man. People used to play both ways in the NFL sometimes back in the day, and in college we definitely saw that. But, like, find another guy out there to, be able to come in and play special teams rather than taking up a roster spot for a guy who can actually help implement some positive yards on your offense.
And give you depth at the cornerback position when all your starting corners are out.
Yeah, because depth is only important when you start losing players and people start getting injured. Shout out to this comment right here, yo.
Checking in from Mexico. 2/2/2022.
I'm trying to see the profile pic. Oh, we got the old school, the team formerly known as helmet kind of vibes on there. But that's got the I like this because, for one, the greetings are from Mexico, right? But the mask kind of gives me like those Rey Mysterio vibes. You know what I'm saying? And like there was some old school like TNA wrestling leagues and whatnot that had a bunch of dudes, like Latino dudes, that would wear that mask, be doing like backflips off the top ropes and whatnot. I had to zoom in a little bit.
I want to say Nacho Libre, but it's not Nacho Libre.
It's a vibe like that, though, yeah.
But it's,
he said, I want to say Nacho Libre.
Mexican wrestling is huge, man.
Yeah, yo. Shout out to how do we
Carlos.
Let's see. Carlos Salcedo. Quintana. Man, gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Checking
welcome.
Mexico.
Appreciate you pulling up, fam.
Shout out to Tuto for the $4.99 super chat. It says, for your information, Coach Coughlin was never hired by Moron Mara. Ernie Ernie Accorsi was told to bring in an over-aggressive disciplinary head coach to fix all of the mess in New York.
And that worked out really well. It's crazy. FYI sounds a lot nicer than for your information. For your information is like for your information. But FYI is kind of chill. He ran a 4.34. Yeah, that boy fast.
He said his name is
White Dion. Ain't nobody ever said no White Dion. We got Vanilla Vic in New York.
He can't cover a bed though. I'll tell you
Which
that.
Which is crazy. Which is how you that fast you can't cover nobody. Man, maybe they should try to transform him into a wide receiver.
You want to know why? Because the white people got that hip rotation. Like I can do it because I'm peach. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like,
yeah. For those of y'all that don't know, the beard is peach. He's not Caucasian. He's peach.
Lucho Libre. That's how. There we go. Thank you to everybody.
I like that. Shout out Don Vito one time in the building. Yo, what up?
Yeah. So I mean, it's just look, and this is another thing. I know we're running really late here.
Yeah, we good.
Be careful what y'all wish for with all this hardball talk, okay?
Really?
Yes. Nothing against Harbaugh, because we saw him take a team to the Super Bowl with the San Francisco Giants.
Wait, what? What the hell did you just say there?
Sorry, the San Francisco 49ers.
San Francisco Giants. Who in the
They play baseball. But yeah, just like it's easy to jump on the hot name. I don't know.
But you know what? You know what I like about it? It's a proven hot name. It's a reason why that name hot. This ain't like no Matt Rule. This is a real deal NFL coach who's done it on the NFL level already.
But how has he really done it on the NFL level?
You just
already?
said the man won a Super Bowl.
No, he didn't win a Super Bowl.
Went
he lost
to a
his
Super
brother.
Bowl.
He lost to his brother in the Super Bowl.
He went to a Super Bowl. I mean,
he did.
I will take 8 and 9 at this point. Come give me Harbaugh. You don't want Harbaugh? Come give me Harbaugh. Straight up. At least you know the man know football, running the DNA, man. I'll take Eli Manning as head coach at this point right now over any of these jokers, man.
Big shout out to Don Vito for the $4.99 super chat. Says speed doesn't mean anything if you don't know how to use it. Jason Witten was the slowest human on earth.
Facts.
It was always open.
Facts.
It
but
was
you know
like,
what, though?
Like,
we got to think about the players who had the speed that couldn't use it. I know that's the flip-flop with Jason Witten, super slow. Definitely a tight end who didn't know who did know how to use his lack of speed.
My man, the Mighty Ducks, man. It took him a while to figure out how to use his speed. He could never stop.
It took him a while how to use his brakes. He couldn't figure out the brakes. But John Ross comes to mind for me. You know, a guy who was like broke the record as far as 40 times
there's
go.
So many of those,
but he hasn't
guys,
panned out well. Trying to think who else really lit the combine up with that 4.3 speed that it just didn't work in the NFL at all.
Yeah, because especially in today's NFL, it's so much to do with route running now as opposed to speed. Big shout out to DB from EP.
I like that.
Says
DB
9-0 line this draft. I don't care.
Hey, I like that. If you go 9-0 line this draft, get you one quarterback.
You guys got 10 picks, right?
10 picks. Get you one quarterback. You want to go 9-0 lineman?
I like the odds though of 9. You know,
yeah. You remember when the New York Giants tried to do that at linebacker?
It didn't work out.
It didn't work out at all. They went out there and drafted like 4 linebackers in one draft and none of them pan out.
I'll tell you, man. So listen, this game. Now we are in a situation where we're looking for a quarterback. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?
What y'all pick right now?
7th, I think, somewhere on there.
Y'all got a 7th pick?
7th, 8th, 9th, maybe.
I didn't think y'all was gonna get a top 10 pick. Y'all got a 7th, 8th, or 9th. Nice.
Dog,
so I mean, y'all will be in the bidding for a quarterback. I mean, I think you go get them if you like the quarterbacks that are out there. Go get them.
I still like Marcus Mariota.
I like Marcus Mariota too, but not as a real starter. Stopgap,
yeah.
Shout out my man Eric Garrison one time in the building, says, hey, Awthentik, if the Giants get 2 top-tier O-linemen, I bet they be in the hunt in the playoff
unless
race.
Y'all fire Joe Judge.
I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, you got to – even if this offense was – we had some time for the quarterback to throw the ball. This offense ain't moving the ball. You got to think, even when we were healthy, Giants offense wasn't looking lights out or nothing, wasn't looking like a playoff team. I don't know. You would need some luck to go your way. And momentum is a major thing, man. And we know this as New York Giants fans. You got to catch that momentum early. You got to get a couple wins early. Like, you can't start the season off 0-3 every damn year and then expect to be trying to make a late run to try to get into the playoffs. Got to start the year 2-1, 2-2, 3-2, something like that, to be able to have a chance here so you can lose some games. Like, man, look at this. Think about it like this. When you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, right? You remember about week 4, week 5, week 6?
Yeah, people were writing them off.
Everyone was writing them off. I stuck to my guns with the Chiefs the whole time because the talent and the coaching is there. You got to look at the schedule they were playing up against. They played some tough games early. Browns team that we didn't know the verdict wasn't out on them as being a bad team yet. Baker Mayfield wasn't hurt yet. They played the Ravens early, Bills early. That their schedule was stacked. You got to have those games where when you get to week 8, week 9, you're not sitting at 1-7, 2-6. You got to be sitting around 500 around then so that you can make your run. And if things are going according to schedule, your team should be getting better throughout the year, not worse. And you see this with the New York Giants. We kind of got a little bit more healthy there in the back half of the season, but the team is getting worse. And to me, that just speaks volumes about the coaches first, but it also speaks volumes about the roster too, man. I mean, since we've had guys like Sterling Shepard on this roster, it's been the same story in the passing game. We've never had an outstanding passing game the whole time. So for me, you got to, you got to bring in new talent along with the new offensive coordinator and a new head coach, man, and just start the rebuild. I don't see us being a playoff team coming up here. Yeah, and they were the first team to ever do that.
And that's just goes to the point that what you're saying about being 1-7.
If the Dolphins would have won a couple of games early, they'd be in the playoffs right now.
Exactly.
Instead, they just won 7. Could you imagine winning 7 straight games and you not in the playoffs?
Because you lost 1 after winning 7 in a row. That's why you can't. That's why.
No, it's not because they lost 1 after winning 7 in a row. It's because they lost 6 in the beginning of the season. You can't start off 1-7 and be like, yeah, we still in it, y'all. You can't.
No, you can't. You can't.
If they would have just went like 3-4, they'd be sitting on a playoff berth right now.
Yeah.
But they shot themselves in the foot early and often. You can't start out I think it was 1-6 they started. Maybe it was 1-7 they started off. But you can't lose that many games before you're buying and hope to make a run in the back half of the season and get in. They should be in the playoffs. Right now, the Miami Dolphins could probably beat some teams in the AFC. Give them a shot. They could have made a run. But instead, you went 1-7 in the beginning of the season in your first 8 games. You got no chance.
Fiddling around with the quarterback position.
Messing around with Jacoby Brissett.
I love Brian Flores to death. I think he's an awesome head coach. But yeah, he dropped the ball a couple of times.
I won't say he dropped the ball because Tua wasn't looking like the guy.
Yeah,
I give him props for getting Tua back in the lineup and instilling that confidence in him. Because mid-season they were like, yeah, we're going to trade Tua to Washington. They were talking about Deshaun Watson. They were talking about all kind of quarterback moves over there with Miami. And I like Tua. I think he can be the guy, but he don't scream franchise quarterback or nothing like that to me.
I think he needs a little bit more time than Burrow and Herbert did. That's what I just think he needed a little bit more time because if you look at him, to me, one of the number one things I like to look at when I look at young quarterbacks is their completion percentage, because I feel like that's something that gets better year 2, year 3. So when I see that completion percentage so high in the young quarterback, to me, that's like a standout thing. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned this earlier. I think it was on Sunday I mentioned it, where the last 8 weeks, Tua, Justin Herbert, and Joe Burrow were three of the top 5 most accurate passers over the last 8 weeks.
Yeah, Tua's been accurate. I mean, the November that he just had, it was the second best completion percentage in a month in NFL history. Right next to Peyton Manning's 2008 December. So Tua, he's accurate. I'll give him that. The Miami Dolphins lack some weapons over there, I feel like, at the wide receiver department, and drafting Jalen Waddle was an excellent draft. I mean, that's a great pickup. Yeah. I think you double dip in this draft. Go get another wide receiver.
Yes.
Maybe get somebody on that offensive line. Their their secondary is solid, man.
And they drafted well this year. Their 2 picks defensively have been absolutely outstanding for them so far this year.
Yep.
I mean, Javon Holland has been lights out this year. And I mean, that was huge, great pick for them. So
and the Dolphins were a team that people, wrote them off, man. When they traded away all the the depth that they had on their roster and picks with the Texans, they made all those moves. People was looking at them like, yo, they about to be in the dumps for years to come. And then they turned around. I think they won 10 games last year. And now you're looking at them, they're sitting around the same thing. Yeah, they were bad.
Think about how bad they were.
They were bad.
Look at the Houston Texans.
Everybody wrote them off. I told you about them. Day one.
You did.
I
told you about Davis Mills.
Yep. You told me about Davis Mills. And I thought Tyrod Taylor was going to be the guy to take them to a couple of wins. I did.
Yeah.
But the thing, when you're looking at an organization from the outside and you see all them headlines, it start to make you just start to believe what the quote-unquote experts are starting to say. Oh, man, the Texans might not win a game this season. They were saying the same thing about the Philadelphia Eagles, bro.
Yeah.
They sitting at 9-7 right now.
That was one of the first things I did. I went to Twitter when they clinched, and I said, shout out to all the Philadelphia Eagles fans, because nobody thought that the Philadelphia Eagles were going to make the playoffs.
Definitely not. I remember clowning some of the Philadelphia Eagles content creators because one in particular was saying, "Yeah, I see 11, 12 wins." I was like, "Bro, you crazy. 11, 12 wins for the Eagles." I mean, now that they got 9, and we're talking about a team that didn't have a quick start. They had a slow start. Things was looking right on course for the way we predicted it about week 7, week 8. I'm like, the Eagles looking like straight up dookie. And now they just completely turned it around. I think, we were blinded by what the media was saying because me and you both had a lot of faith in Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
And we should have stuck to that gun. Like, if you got a good quarterback, you got a chance. And I do think that Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback in this league, whether it be that he can't throw the ball well or not. When you utilize him and you utilize his running capabilities, he's a good quarterback. He adds an extra running back at the quarterback position, and I think that he's the reason why the Philadelphia Eagles are the number 1 rushing team in the league right now because he makes guys like Jordan Howard that much better. You see Jordan Howard in this game, that 11 carries for whatever it was, like 30 yards, that sounds more like Jordan Howard in 2021. But because of Jalen Hurts, and I also got to give some credit to the other guys in that backfield, change of pace running backs. You got Kenneth Gainwell, you got Boston Scott, who Boston Scott just runs so hard. Bowling ball, you describe him as. It's a perfect description for him because you just roll him down the lane. Dude is just flying. That one fumble that he had set him back. I think the fumble was against the Giants. Kind of set him back, had people kind of looking at him a little bit sketchy. But I love Boston Scott as a second kind of running back to come in relief. And then when you got a healthy Miles Sanders, who Philadelphia knows that Miles Sanders has dealt with injuries his whole entire career, they go out there and they get the backs. When they signed Jordan Howard, I'm like, what? You might as well be signing Jay Ajayi and some other old running backs. What was my man? My man out of Chicago, number 32, Bennett. What was my man's name?
Michael Bennett?
Was it Michael Bennett? Nah, not Michael Bennett.
It wasn't Michael Bennett, paid for the Vikings.
Might be Michael Bennett. There was a running back that wore 32 for a while. I'm like, man, maybe they go back and scoop him up. Maybe he got some tread left on the tires. Matt Forte. This guy, Jordan Howard, is along the lines of those kind of guys. Like, you like Jordan Howard. Wait, what? This ain't 2017, bro. This
Ronnie
is 2021.
Brown.
Yeah, Ronnie Brown in Miami was another one. Cadillac Williams. Man, he was supposed to be a guy. Cadillac was out of Auburn, right?
Auburn. Him and Ronnie Brown both went to Auburn. That was
they
the birth
guys.
of the Wildcat, man. Miami. Ronnie Brown. They created the Wildcat.
Darren Sproles, Don Vito said, no Mets, no Nets, no Jets, says ESPN was on the Eagles heavy. I didn't know that, man, because everywhere I saw, man, people was just like, where are the Eagles going to score points? Pre-draft. This was pre-draft, too. And, yeah, DeVante Smith has been very good for them. But outside of him, they don't got no true weapons in the wide receiver department with Quez Watkins and Greg Ward Jr., and the other kid, I don't understand how the kid's not on a roster or not making plays somewhere. Travis Fulgham. Dude was all right. He was better than Greg Ward to me.
Listen, there's things about roster construction in football that I just will never understand.
Old man Rob says the Eagles are there because of good coaching. Yeah, the back half of the season, for sure, Nick Sirianni has cleaned it up, but he's still, listen.
Yes. The Giants.
That's a beard. That's a beard. Listen right there. Listen. All right. Let me tell you something about Sirianni. That's very an inexperienced trait from him that I can't stand. He trying to be cute too much. Run the damn ball. He gave y'all a chance in this game. Early on, not committing to the run. You go back, you look at the Giants game. The first Giants meeting, this guy comes out trying to pass the ball every damn down. Jalen Hurts throws 3 interceptions. The second time they played us, first quarter, he allows the Giants to just kind of linger around by throwing the ball. It's like he want to show to the league I can do it in a multitude of ways. Like, yo, bro, just live and die on that run. And if you're going to pass, make sure you're passing it out of the RPO. You don't see a lot of RPO pass. I want to see some RPO where, like, you see the quarterback fake the handoff, but you remember how they used to drop back in the option sometimes? This go back to, like, Tommy Frazier. They will run down the line like they was running the option, and then the quarterback would step back. And you have deep passes down the field. If the Philadelphia Eagles are going to throw the ball, that's how I want to see him do it. I don't want to see him drop back, try and throw the ball deep into double coverage with Jalen Hurts and DeVante Smith and Greg Ward Jr. and Quez Watkins out there. That's not what I'm trying to see. So I agree they have had good coaching, but you got to clean that up. Come playoff time, bro, live and die by your identity. And I know they're dealing with a quarterback who can't really throw the ball, so I think that's more of a reason for you to just rely on the run. Baker Mayfield and the Browns, They're the same exact thing. Coach trying to get too cute. You don't got the quarterback that can throw the ball down the field. I would
You have
actually
Nick
start to
Chubb.
leverage guys like Jarvis Landry. I'm trading them now, right now, while the value's still high. Because for me, I don't think it matters who's playing wide receiver for the Cleveland Browns. In Philly, it's a different case. I think you need some weapons at the wide receiver. Like if Philly had a guy like Deebo Samuel over there, my God, they would be deadly. If you can get a slot guy like that, maybe trade for DJ Moore. I think DJ Moore's in the last year of his contract. He might be a guy you could sign in free agency. Give him the bag. But the Cleveland Browns, I think you get rid of guys like Jarvis Landry right now. While his stock's still kind of high, get rid of him.
What are your thoughts on Baker Mayfield? You think he's a Cleveland Brown in 2022?
Yeah, I do think so. I think Baker Mayfield's right on that cusp of like, you can win games with Baker Mayfield. The injury, probably set him back this year. He had a good year the previous year.
Yeah, because he did. And I feel like a lot of times people, what worries me is I don't want to see what happened. I know this is kind of a crazy analogy, but I don't want to see what happened to RG3 happen to Baker Mayfield. Okay, because
in what aspect?
Because Washington fans are so easily forgetful about where we were as a franchise on and off the field before RG3 got here. And forget that RG3, we won the NFC East title, and not like 7 and 9. We won the NFC East, title with RG3 at quarterback, and he was the guy. He was the guy.
Oh yeah,
and then he
big
got
playmaker.
hurt. And then he got hurt, and then it's just like, then it was like, it had nothing really to do with his injury, but then all of a sudden people were like, oh, he's doing too many commercials, and he's not the same on the field anymore, and then next thing you know, like, it just all comes crashing down. And I don't want to see that happen with Baker Mayfield, because the Browns before Baker Mayfield were in a really bad place.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to say that Baker Mayfield is a top-tier quarterback, but I just think that right now people have this in their head that he is a mediocre or really bad quarterback. And so for me, it's just like, he had a rough year. He played his butt off this year too, considering, I mean, the dude's got like 6 injuries right now.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
He's definitely battling the injury bug heavy. And I mean, the year wasn't too bad. I mean, 3,000 yards, 60% completion percentage, 17 touchdowns, 13 picks. Coming off the year that he had in 2020, where he really took care of the ball. But we can't forget Nick Chubb went down in this season too.
Yeah, and Kareem Hunt.
And then you have all the drama off the field stuff with Odell Beckham, but he had the 26 touchdowns and 8 interceptions in 2020 for 3,500 yards. He had a quarterback rating of 95.9. It dipped down to 83.1 this season. But here's the thing, man. I don't like to take someone's best year and use that as the measurement, right?
Yeah.
You got to look at Baker Mayfield, and granted, the first season, 2019, I can't remember. I think 2019 was with Freddie Kitchens. 2018 was with, I can never remember homie's name, but the ball-headed black coach. Not Hugh Douglas. Is that his name? Yeah. I don't know why it don't sound right.
It's not Hugh Douglas. It's Hugh Jackson.
Hugh Jackson. Yeah, that's what it was. But now you look at him throughout his career. He's got two good years, 2 off years. As a rookie, he came in and he broke that the passing touchdown record there. 27 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, 93 passer rating. In 2019, he dipped down to 22 touchdowns and 21 interceptions. His completion percentage was just under 60. In 2020, that's the great year. He had the 26 touchdowns with the 8 interceptions. And then, you go back down to even playing field in 2021 with the 17 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. So, I mean, I don't see Baker Mayfield being a guy that's like 3-1 in his career. I see him being more of a 2-1 guy. You got to keep the running backs there. I think the tight ends are great options for them with Hooper and Njoku over there. But I think you should focus in on that running game. Make that running game better. Keep building that line, even though it's a good line. They got a solid line. I keep building that line so you got a good line and some depth for years to come. And make Baker Mayfield, one of the better quarterbacks that's not a franchise guy that has to rely on the run, rather than a guy who's going to go out there and try to make plays to win you the game.
Yeah, I knew. As soon as Awthentik said Hugh Douglas, I
Hugh
remember
Douglas does
that.
radio down in ATL. Shout out
Yeah,
East Side.
he used to play for the Eagles.
Yeah, that's who Hugh Douglas, linebacker or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, former Philly linebacker. Yup, I see that. Shout out East Suds one time in the building, man. But this gonna be the last week that we pretty much get to talk about our two teams not facing each other. I'm really looking forward to Thursday, this matchup and the preview show we're gonna have on Thursday, because this is gonna be the last hurrah for both our teams, and then we get into playoff mode. Make sure y'all stay tuned. We got a couple little special playoff edition shows that we're gonna be doing. We're gonna be highlighting a couple little different things here. And I'm trying to keep the playoffs fun for our teams that are not going to be here. We're going to be at home all watching the playoffs and whatnot. Maybe we'll do some play-by-plays as well. We haven't done one play-by-play all year long. Maybe we do that Washington Giants game 1 o'clock.
I think we have to. I think we
might have to. Entertainer Bad Dog definitely going to be doing their thing. So there's going to be a little bit of competition on the YouTubes there. But maybe we do a little simultaneous broadcast. Keep things a little funky over here with Awthentik and the Beard. It's been a good season, man. I don't want to quite say our farewells, but that also reminds me that Ben Roethlisberger might have just played his last home game. Him coming out that tunnel, all the smoke, the fans cheering, I thought that was amazing. Ben Roethlisberger, I think, is a guy who is
he's the last one standing from that class.
Yeah, and he's getting a bad rap for his play over there, where there's really no weapons over there for him, man. You know, Deontay Johnson been dropping passes left and right. No Juju Smith-Schuster. You got a rookie running back. They try to do the same thing that the Giants tried to do with Saquon Barkley with Eli Manning. They didn't get to a losing season, which is really good. You know,
dude, Mike Tomlin, that dude.
He's that guy, man. No losing seasons. I think they still got a shot to get in the playoffs. I think maybe. Can't remember if they were mathematically eliminated.
I think they have an outside shot, maybe.
But that's not looking too good for them. But yeah, man, fantastic career of Ben Roethlisberger, definitely a Hall of Famer. And the 2 Super Bowls, granted, they didn't win them on his shoulders. I still think he's a Hall of Famer, and he had a really fantastic career. And I think even dating back to just last season, I just want to pull up his numbers before we get up out of here, because his numbers last season, considering, were really good. And even this season, I thought they were pretty decent for not having a lot of help. He's got 21 touchdowns, 9 interceptions this season, almost 3,500 yards. And in 2020, he had 33 touchdowns, man. 10 interceptions, 33 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 94 passer rating, 3,800 yards, 65% completion percentage. That, man, I'll take that all damn day in New York, okay? So you remember how we brought in Kurt Warner, Big Ben? If you need one more year, man, come help us mold a quarterback, man. We'll draft a quarterback first round and 9 linemen like my homie was talking about in the chat. Maybe you can help develop a quarterback, keep the Giants, a little bit relevant for another year, and then we'll pass the torch to another guy, man, because I'm not sold. But big shout out to Ben Roethlisberger, man. I think he had a fantastic career. I just remember him coming into the league and that fumble that he had, the fumble that Jerome Bettis had in the Super Bowl that Big Ben saved Jerome Bettis. And he didn't have a Super Bowl.
Nope.
He saved you, bro. Jerome Bettis owes his life to Ben Roethlisberger, because it didn't look like Ben Roethlisberger was going to get that fumble. It tumbled back like 40 yards, and then Roethlisberger, I think he made a tackle, actually.
I remember watching Ben Roethlisberger play college football, man, because he was one of those guys that came from a mid-major, man. My University of Miami at Ohio was where Ben Roethlisberger went to college.
That's right.
And
Big Ben did it up, man.
Mac.
He did it up. So big kudos to Big Ben. Appreciate everybody tuning into today's show, man. All the new subscribers. We had some new folks from Mexico. Yeah. We had my homie Dom in the building from all the way over there in UK or wherever he's at. He's over there somewhere far.
We are international. Australia,
definitely international.
Italy,
Lucas in the
Mexico, building. And UK. We hit all over the world today, man.
We definitely did, man. So shout out to all of y'all in the chat, man. For those of y'all that are new here, we got a saying over here, nobody in the chat is a fan of Awthentik and the Beard. Everybody is fam with Awthentik and the Beard. We definitely appreciate y'all pulling up, man. This was a good show, man. 2.5 hours. It flew by, too. It's only 9:30.
It always happens.
It always does, man. You get to talking, and, man, them Giants rants, boy, them Giants rants get me hyped up, man. And I feel like to the fam that's in the chat, y'all deserve that. I can't just pull up here and be like, yeah. Negative 11 yards, me. I got to give y'all that energy. I got to give you those vibes, and the vibes over here at Awthentik and the Beard. Shout out my homie Nate. Nate Talks Football just pulled up in the building. You definitely missed 2 hours of the stream for sure. We're going to be back at it on Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Same vibes. Going to be previewing the 2 NFC East matchups. You know, there is no Thursday night game. That's killing me. They got to keep Thursday night football throughout the year. The Saturday is cool, but the Thursday be like, it kind of make my week feel a little bit shorter. You know, the work week don't seem so extended when you get football on Thursday. Get that Thursday stream out the way, and then bam, you get some Thursday night football. But it'll be a little bit of a let up for the graphics
And there's
department.
no Monday
Literally
night
2 games.
either.
No Monday night this week, huh?
I don't think there's Monday night football in the last week of the season.
I feel like you're right on that. I feel like last season it was like that. There was no Monday night game. So we'll have to enjoy some football Saturday, which what was that? What game was on Saturday?
The Cowboys-Eagles play Saturday.
That's going to be a good one to watch, man.
Chiefs. Give me 1 second. I have it up.
I might still have it.
Chiefs and Broncos.
Chiefs and Broncos. Broncos have been playing some pretty decent football. They're going to just be on the outskirts of the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, looking ahead really fast, Steelers-Ravens game is super important. Obviously, I think they still have a outside chance at making the playoffs.
Yeah, Ravens needed a lot. They needed a lot to go their way.
Yeah. Saints and Falcons. That's
Falcons are mathematically eliminated now, right? But Saints aren't.
So, yeah. But Saints can still get in somehow, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then 49ers-Rams. That's a big game also.
Yeah, 49ers,
Dolphins,
Rams.
Patriots. Patriots are trying. Man.
Oh, and first place is on the line with the Jaguars are playing the Colts, and somebody needed the Jaguars to beat the Colts to bump up in the seeding as well.
Yeah, so Chargers, Raiders, Colts, Steelers, and Ravens are all still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ravens are at the bottom of that. I don't see the Ravens getting in. It's been a tough year for them, man. They're one of the more bigger letdowns in the NFL, if you ask me. And a lot of that has to do with that Lamar Jackson injury, but he wasn't playing that well right before the injury either, man. They were losing some close games. You gotta look at those 2-point conversions that they've been going for late in those games too, that they're not getting. They're not giving your team a chance to win it in overtime. Lost 2 games like that, I feel like.
Yeah, back-to-back weeks, bro.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, man. You can't keep doing that. You putting your, that's that whole, conservative and non-conservative balance, man. Like I like the coaches that really don't do things like that. I'm going to keep it real. I'm old school,
You
man.
got to have a good balance.
But, when I'm on defense and you're the team that's going for that 2-point conversion, I'm dropping bricks, bro. I'm like, oh, my God, please don't get a 2-point.
You know how I feel about that 2-point conversion when all you got to do is kick the extra point.
Yeah, you remember last year, I think we were doing that broadcast live, and it was like, oh, he's going for 2. Riverboat Ron.
I lost it.
Jabril Peppers, man.
Yeah.
Shout out Jabril Peppers. He's another one who might not be a giant, man. But let's get some biceps in that chat, man. Y'all know what it is. For those of y'all that are new here, man, left side.
Strong side.
In the building, man. You know how we do here 4 days a week at Awthentik and the Beard. We definitely appreciate all of y'all pulling up, man. It's been a fire show, man. I had a great time with y'all tonight, man, just chopping it up, talking football. And it was also a pleasure to hop on Tim from Online Big Blues channel to chop it up with them. Talking with them, I kind of got my my sights set on a quarterback in the draft. I think I'm set on it because I don't like the idea of waiting for the quarterback to get here in 2023 because then Daniel Jones won't be here unless you extend him with the 5th-year option. So you're looking at a quarterback coming here in 2023. He's not going to have no one to start. He's going to have to automatically be a day 1 starter unless you bring in a stopgap quarterback, which I don't want to do, and I don't think the Giants have enough money to really do that. So for me, as of today, y'all know what it is, though. I'm always liable to change my opinion over here at Awthentik and the Beard. This is just sports. I am just a fan. Don't, hold me to my takes. Oh, man, I be seeing people on the internet like, that's a bad take. Bro, I'm not an analyst, man. You want to talk bars? You want to talk beats? I mean, we can get real serious and get real funky, but don't treat me like I'm Stephen A. Smith, bro. Okay, I'm authentic. I'm a producer and an engineer and an artist first. I'm podcast second to give y'all my opinions on the New York Giants, and that's just what it is. It's just to document what we do over here. I saw somebody else on Twitter saying, they said this to Pest, actually. They said, you must have an ego about your opinion because you have a podcast. And I was like, nah, I mean, I got to have a reason here to use all this production and all this equipment. I can't let this camera just go to use. I mean, look how pretty I look on the damn camera. You know what I'm saying? We got to show the beard. That's just what it is, man. So y'all know what it is, man. We appreciate y'all rocking with us. We couldn't do this without y'all, man. And to the day ones, man, big salute to the day ones, man. All of y'all, man, the Suds, the Marias, the Tudos, when it was just like about good 5 people in these streams, y'all was in here holding us down. The Marjories, the Sabrinas. Hopefully Sunday's doing well. Haven't heard from Sunday in a long time. The Jamesons, shout out my homie Jameson, Coach Taylor in the building. Rachel's been holding us down as of late, real crucially. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets. The Lax Ofofos, the Waterflies, you know what I'm saying, man? Old man Rob's in the building one time. Mr. Mini Guy been rocking with us for a long time. We definitely couldn't do this without y'all, man. So we appreciate y'all. Enjoy these next 2 days. We'll catch y'all at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Same place, same time, same channel. The best TV show not on TV. Keep raising that bar. New York Giants, I need y'all to raise that bar. Go get me a new coach. Raise that bar. Y'all out there in the chat. All out there in the Twitterverse, the universe of the YouTubes, the internets, all of that stuff. Keep living y'all dreams, man. Y'all know what it is, man. Left side, strong side. Be good. We will see y'all on Thursday at 7 p.m. Peace.